Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have returning guest, Rob Gutro. He's a medium, author, paranormal investigator. He's written a numerous amount of books, Ghosts and Spirits, Pets and the Afterlife, which is one of my favorites, Lessons Learned from Talking to the Dead, Kindred Spirits, and Ghost of England on a Medium's Vacation. We've had him on several times. He's a great guest, and I thought he'd be a good addition to this month's kind of theme, which is connecting with your loved ones on the other side. And, you know, Rob can connect with spirits on the other side. He can connect with animal spirits on the other side. I know he's helped people. He's helped me. I lost my pets a year ago, Bella and Asia, and it's really tough. You know, I mean, we had Joe McQuillan on, lost his son. That's the hardest loss. But pets are family members, and that can be really hard. I mean, we got a lot to talk to Rob about. He's had a lot of experiences as a medium and as a paranormal investigator. So we can get into all of that tonight. Of course, there's a lot in the World Wide Web Weird. I had a lot, actually. I had my wife help me figure out which articles to cover tonight, so she's going to get to listen if she's awake. Because, man, there was a lot. I almost had double the amount of stories. I only do 7, but we cut it down. I got 7 articles tonight. I hope they were the right picks for you guys tonight, because there's a lot of weird going on. Of course, we'll open up the phone lines later in the show. If you want to call in, ask a question of our guests. Have you lost a pet this year? Rob's a great guy to talk to. I highly recommend him, and we'll definitely make sure we get his contact information out there. You know, he's not going to do readings on the air, but he will talk to you about his experiences, let you know your pets are there with you. All right, guys, we got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get rolling on into it. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Rob Gutro, will be joining us after the first commercial break, after the World Wide Web of Weird. So if you're coming for that, just hang in there. We got some weirdness to get to. But joining me every Sunday night is my beautiful co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing great. Thank you.
Technical problems aside, let's hope we don't have any, right? And also joining us from St. Augustine, Florida, is Rob Autry himself. How you doing tonight, Rob? You're doing. Rob runs the World Wide Web of Weird. For those listening on the Paranormal Radio Network, we are a webcast, so you can check it out. I'll say it again in a minute, but I try to and narrate the articles best as possible. And of course, we got all of you lovely people in the chat room tonight. Thank you for joining us. But like I said, we got a lot of weird to get to, so let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web Weird, I thought I'd start out with this article that's been going all over the place because, and it's just this part of the craziness of the year, I guess. Man, and this comes from Las Vegas Sun, man who breached McCarran security said he wanted to steal a jet. They should have added in that headline. He wanted to steal a jet and fly it to Area 51. Anybody that's familiar with Area 51, well, that's where they fly the spooks out of, is McCarran Airport. You know, what is it, Jan Airways, whatever, the white jets with the red stripes? Yeah, this guy had the right idea, maybe. For those listening on the Paranormal Soup Radio Network, as I said before, we are a webcast. We stream live out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. If you want to watch, sometimes we have videos. Tonight I think it's just all photos. But if you want to see those photos or see what's going on, join us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget, you can help support the show with a YouTube Super Chat. We got that on there. Shameless plug for money, right? Just trying to pay the bills, people. Okay, let's put up the article. This is the guy. A good mug shot right here. Air traffic at McCarran International Airport was temporarily halted Wednesday after a man rammed his limousine through a security gate and claimed to have a bomb, according to Metro Police arrest report. Again, YouTube AI, I'm reading an article about it. I don't have one. Matthew Hancock, 36, was arrested Wednesday afternoon and booked at the Clark County Detention Center on counts of communicating a bomb threat, threatening an act of terrorism, trespassing, and causing a dispersal hoax. He remains in custody, according to jail records. Officers responded to the airport about 6:45 p.m. after receiving a report of a vehicle performing donuts in the parking lot of a fixed base operator, which is a commercial enterprise granted the right to provide aviation services. Metro later received updated information that Hancocksville had breached security gates and was driving recklessly across the air traffic ramp. At one point, before police arrival, witnesses said Hancock parked his limo between a parked jet, exited his vehicle, donned a clown mask, and screamed, "I have a you-know-what bomb." I think it's F-bomb. "I'm going to blow this place up," according to the arrest report, he said. Nearby employees fled and began to evacuate, and Hancock re-entered his vehicle. Metro arrived shortly after and ordered Hancock to exit the vehicle, police said. He complied and was immediately detained. As Hancock was being detained, he stated his limo contained a gasoline device, and he had come to the airport to steal a jet because he wanted to fly to Area 51 to look at the aliens. It's going to fly on by. Oh, look at there's aliens. Yeah, I don't think that's how it works, Matthew.
What part
Hancock,
of it thought that any of this was a good idea?
He had the right idea where to go for this. I mean, he could, but was it a good idea? No. He also claimed he had a shotgun in the vehicle. Officers searched the vehicle and found a silver compressor device similar to an oxygen tank, as well as what appeared to be fire extinguishers with heavy gauge wiring wrapped around it, situated on a wooden platform in the back seat. The contraption was consistent with a possible explosive device. Police said the episode caused a massive response from Metro, including detectives from counterterrorism and SWAT sections, but the number of officers was not stated in the arrest report. Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Bomb Squad was also there, as well as FBI. Air traffic was alerted to protect life and property, according to the report. Well, there's obviously, we're trying to get to this part. Records show that Hancock was cited on November 11th for misdemeanor reckless driving. Metro posted a video on Twitter account later that day showing a limo driving erratically on the strip, nearly hitting structures and nearby vehicles. So this guy was all kinds up to trouble. His initial appearance is in Las Vegas Justice Court, scheduled for 9 a.m. Friday. Where I was trying to find it, he got this too because he got TikTok famous. He was making those TikTok videos. He suddenly got people listening to him on there. He said in his when he was arrested, he was TikTok famous, so he got this idea he was going to do this. So I'm sure there's a video of him filming himself doing this too. It'll be used in court against him. Yeah, I
can see the idea, but be a little more covert. Don't draw attention. Donuts in the parking lot. Red flag.
I guess there's a video of him doing the donuts too.
Okay.
He did it. So there's this. I want to be TikTok famous. Woohoo! Area 51. Go see the aliens. Yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. Yeah. All right, let's move on. All right, we covered this like a year ago about the Zodiac killer cipher being deciphered, whatever. Now, the famous TimesUnion.com, I got this from them, but they're one of the news outlets that got the original letters, I think, from the Zodiac killer. Has this article. Albany TV stations receive Chinese Zodiac killer letters. FBI asks local media to preserve letters so agents can examine for evidence. The FBI office in Albany is investigating after several area television stations received a letter from someone claiming to be the Chinese Zodiac Killer. Not the Zodiac Killer, but the Chinese Zodiac Killer. The field office sent a notice to local media outlets Wednesday night asking them to to be on the lookout for more letters and to not open them in order to preserve any possible DNA evidence. Time Union has not received one of the letters, so they did not get this letter, but I think they got the originals. In a statement, the Bureau said there is no threat to the community. It would not comment further while the investigation is ongoing. It's not the first time the Albany media outlet received a letter from someone using a Zodiac Killer moniker. In August 1973, the Times Union received a letter from someone claiming to be the infamous Zodiac Killer who stalked Northern California in 1960. Shortly after, the paper ran a short story on him. The cryptic letter, which promised a murder in Albany, came after an extended period in which the Zodiac Killer had not been heard from. The text of the 73 letter read in part, well, we already know all this stuff about the Zodiac Killer. If you don't, go look it up. But now we got one claiming to be the Chinese Zodiac Killer. You know, I brought up my wife. The Zodiac Killer has been on some versions or copycats over the years, and I'm just, you know, my sci-fi brain or paranormal brain thought of this. You know, my wife. You know, you ever seen that movie Fallen with Denzel Washington? Rob, Jamie, you ever see that movie? Rob's shaking his head. You remember the premise of that? Is he catches this serial killer and they execute him. He finds out the serial killer is actually possessed by a demon. Yep. That can jump to other people. I mean, what if this is like the same demon just jumped into serial killers? I never caught the original Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what this is, but you know, makes you wonder. I mean, is it why did he keep copycatting this guy? I don't know. And what the Chinese Zodiac Killer? Well, we know what ethnicity to look for. Thank you. One thing down, or is it to throw him off? I don't know. Yeah. But I honestly think they're just being honest. So. Narrow down, not a white male. We're looking for a Chinese male on this, I think. Maybe it didn't say female. It could have said Chinese female Zodiac Killer. I don't know. Not likely. But anyways, this story will continue. We'll see. It's probably just another hoaxer. But it's crazy how long this has gone on, the Zodiac Killer. Never caught, and then all the copycats and the letters. I don't know. Crazy people. Speaking of crazy people, on to the next story. Yuri Geller. Back in the news. If you don't know who Yuri Geller is, you need to catch up. Aliens preparing to make contact with humans have been visiting Earth for thousands of years, claims Yuri Geller. Yes, Yuri Geller claims aliens are preparing to make contact with the human race, and the UFOs have been visiting our planet secretly for thousands of years. The psychic, who's 74, famed for his ability to bend spoons, told the Sun outlet that there's no doubt in my mind that extraterrestrials exist and claims to have had his own experience with UFOs. I've heard him talk about these experiences. They're actually kind of weird. His wild claims come as a bombshell as NASA documents reveal the space agency believes that aliens may have already visited Earth. Yeah, NASA's full, Yeah, we know that, NASA. Yuri has previously been acquainted with UFOs through his work with the CIA and claims to have been shown an alien crash wreckage at NASA. I remember him telling this story. The Israeli-born mystifiers told The Sun online, I think they are studying us. I don't know what they really want, but I think they are preparing us for a contact for a Steven Spielberg scenario, and hence they got this picture of Close Encounters of the Third Kind there behind them. Steven Spielberg scenario of a landing, and it's going to be spectacular. This will probably land on the White House lawn or somewhere. Oh, dear God, don't do that. Don't do that. Aliens, don't do that. Seriously, you don't want to meet those people. They're gonna be. There's got one really confused one. You're gonna confuse them even more. Don't do that. I don't think we're talking about thousands or even thousands of years. I had to guess a rational, logical guess. I would say about 60 to 75 years. It's going to happen. Oh, he's giving it 60 to 75 years. He'll be dead before that prediction could come true, right? Isn't that great, Yuri? I thought you were talking recently, Yuri. No. He's talking 60 or 75 years, possibly. Yuri referenced recent videos filmed by Navy pilots released by the Pentagon this year, which show UFOs. So he's just trying to get on the UFO thing. But 60, 70 years, people, they're coming. They're going to land on the White House lawn. Let's hope we get we get somebody that's not totally stupid in the office by then. We don't have a good track record with that. But let's move on. All right, let's see. All right, speaking of UFOs, another report comes out. I got this from Unexplained Mystery about drone swarms harassing a Navy ship. We got more of this news. Newly declassified documents detail multiple ships were harassed for weeks by mysterious drones. It seems that drones are everywhere these days, as from Unexplained Mysteries. However, in the wrong hands, they have the potential to be quite dangerous, can even pose a threat to a country's national security. Newly released documents under the Freedom of Information Act contain a detailed account how multiple U.S. Navy destroyers were continuously hounded by a whole swarm of unidentified drones during a series of incidents that took place over the course of several weeks in the summer 2019. At least 3 of these ships reported multiple drones harassing them, with mysterious aerial vehicles adjusting their speed and position whenever the ship would change course to avoid them. Efforts to shoot down the drones also proved problematic because the weapons aboard the vessel were not designed to hit small, fast-moving targets. Specialist teams known as the ship's nautical or otherwise photographic interpretation exploitation, or SNOPI, were deployed to gather information about the drones. While they likely captured numerous photographs, these have not been made available to the public thus far. The drones continued to hound the vessels for such an extensive period of time that they were still being sighted after the U.S. Navy had launched an official investigation into the phenomenon. Now, are they drones or are they aliens? Because they might just call them drones, but they could be aliens. Or they're drones because, yeah, Russia, China, they're just openly spying, and things are getting heated between our countries, so they could be drones, military style. This wouldn't be. See, they act like this is like some people with some shenanigans and are running drones up in the air. No, this would be military to be hounding our ships. This would be another military doing that, or it would be aliens. One of the two, not just some hobbyists with a bunch of drones.
Consumers,
I'm just saying,
are going to be doing that.
Well, you got to think, where would this be? This would be out in the ocean. Who's out in the ocean with a bunch of drones?
Yeah.
It'd be military grade, especially, to be able to get away with what they did. So this would probably be Russia or China or both, most likely China. I don't know. Things are getting heated, on the international front, if you haven't noticed. All right, let's move on. We're going to run out of time here. Oh, this is when it's got to translate. This is right. Oh, and it's not translating. See, it does this to me. I get the link, and then it doesn't translate. So I might have to pull up the coast-to-coast article on this. Let me do, because I save it, and then it doesn't save the translation. But there's a coast-to-coast article for this. Oh, where did it go? Now I lost it. Oh, here it is. I'll have to read the coast-to-coast article, because it didn't translate it. Family saved ghost woman from fire. And this is a shorter article than I want, but it's probably a good thing. A family in Mexico, and this is from Tim Bindle from Coast to Coast. A family in Mexico suspect that they may have a ghostly encounter after they saved a woman from a burning apartment, and then she subsequently vanished. The weird incident reportedly occurred earlier this week in a residential complex of the city of Altamira, when at around 4 in the morning, a massive inferno suddenly erupted in the apartment on the 4th floor. Resident Fabilia Branastro, if I say that right, and her husband heard screams emanating from the blaze. Along with some neighbors, they burst into the apartment and managed to extract a distressed woman from the scene and brought her down to the streets below, which is when things took a strange turn. As the Baristros and their neighbors waited outside the building while firefighters were putting out the blaze, they looked around and realized that the woman had disappeared. Their confusion was compounded when some of the other residents of the complex informed them that there was actually no one renting that particular apartment. Bewildered by this revelation, they subsequently returned to the building once the fire was extinguished and investigated the situation. When they got inside the apartment, they found only a bucket, a mirror, and a charred nightstand. Aside from those particular items, there was no indication that anyone had actually lived there. While some might speculate that perhaps the woman was squatting in the empty apartment, she would have to have been pretty stealthy to pull off such a scene, as it was on the 4th floor of the building, and she had apparently gone unnoticed until now. As such, it would seem the Bruneristos, I'm saying the right, and their neighbors are entertaining a more supernatural scenario, as they believe that the rescued woman was actually some kind of apparition. Unless the woman returns to retrieve her bucket and mirror. What was in the bucket? Let's hope not, right? I mean, she doesn't need much. I mean, maybe she doesn't. They act like she would have like furniture and all the stuff she's squatting there. No, she wouldn't have very much.
Hey,
mirror and a bucket. Probably about it.
To clear out
Need the bucket.
When I cleared out that train car for the investigations and cleared the squatter out, she
I forgot
left
about
a bucket.
that. Yes.
You remember what was in that
When
bucket?
I read bucket in this article, I was like, yeah, it's probably a squatter. Because they always got a bucket. Don't ask what the bucket's for. Don't touch the bucket.
You know what the bucket's
right,
for.
Jamie? Don't touch the bucket.
Don't touch the bucket.
All right, actually getting through this pretty quick. All right, so let's move on to I have a lot of Irish in me. My great grandfather came from Ireland. So I was interested, and I think I read this once a year on the show close to the end of the year, is the Irish Almanac. Last year, it predicted a strange new virus. So everybody flipped out their lid. They're like, it predicted COVID. I don't know. But it's got a number of predictions. I don't read all this from irishcentral.com. Old Moore's Almanac predicts and see, this is a bad title. Predicts a female Irish leader, climate change, and big COVID news. Let's get to some of the predictions before I run out of time here. Let me see if I can scroll down. Let's see, they had these listed by somewhat category. In Europe, terrorism returns to Europe, reign New taxes on junk food in Europe. Yeah, see, all these things you can kind of predict because there's just a lot of crappy people in charge. Shortages of items cause panic and hoarding. Wow, well, I think we all kind of see that coming. The EU economy thrives, as does Britain's, despite the Brexit. We'll see. World politics and stability. Kamala Harris gears up to take the reins of the USA, but she will find herself besieged. Her political enemies will be serious. Super serial. No, I think she can screw it up all on her own. Speaking of screw-ups, Trump will make noises about running again, but it will be conditional on a fair election. Good luck with that. The economy in China is on the brink. Yeah, we kind of see that coming. Tourist spaceships will have an incident which makes world news. Now, that could be interesting. That could really screw things up. Celebrities, I don't care. We'll screw that. I don't give a crap about celebrities. Let's see. Global events. Here we go. There will be a second pandemic unrelated to the first. That's the first thing. That's the first thing they got under global events. What was that? All that smallpox talk we heard about not long ago, and you know, all these other people. Hey, yeah, there's all this other stuff that could be happening. Like COVID's not scary enough. COVID passports will be a way of life. That's their prediction, right? Those who do not have the vaccine will form their own communities and start a whole new towns based on their values. What's going on, our Irish Almanac? But yeah, you're probably right. Robotics takes all this stuff is stuff I've been talking about, right? Robotics takes a look at blue collar work, but will add on to white collar work. No, I think robots will just take those jobs too. This will cause a big shift in society. What were we talking about before the show? Yep. Men lose interest in universities courses and go for trades where they can get higher wages. That makes sense. Malls will start to reinvent themselves as more people shop online. Like all this stuff, I think everybody could tell you. They will be more places of leisure and entertainment places like Dune stores will have a trampoline park in the middle for kids. No way. That would be an insurance nightmare. Shaking hands and kissing will end as greeting traditions never to return. Well, gotta love the Irish Almanac this year. Society, vaccine safety, and big pharma scandals will continue well into 2022. Really? Would not think that. Really? Wonder why. Wow. Births stop outnumbering deaths. So deaths will outnumber births. That's their prediction. Lately, some gloomy gusses at the Irish Almanac. Marriage is on the wane everywhere in the world, with weddings being seen as quaint historical reenactments. So they're saying we're just not going to get married anywhere either. I'm not making this up. Go irishcentral.com, guys. Humans are
the family structure.
Jamie, this one's for you. Human augmentation starts. We merge ourselves with technology to the point that it becomes part of our biology. What were we talking about, Jamie?
100%.
Medical technology will astound in 2022. Blind people seen again. People in wheelchairs will walk again. We talked about Elon Musk last week putting chips in people's brains, and I get that. To help people who couldn't walk. I get that. I think it's going to go way bad, though. Settlements on Mars will become an absolute reality, and planning starts. Get ready for the docudramas to start around this theme. Virtual sex will become an astoundingly realistic and new equipment, making long-distance relationships a thing. Big data analytics will be more lucrative for careers, blah, blah, blah. Sports, I don't care. And that's about it. All the other stuff I don't care about. But, man, what have we been talking about on the World Wide Web of Weird for weeks now? And I think Irish Almanac's listening, but not in a good way. You're not getting... I mean, are they predicting these things or wanting these things? I don't know. Or are they just, seeing down the road like I do? I would love to know how they make their predictions. But a lot of it, like I said, I think this is all on our minds right now. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the last thing.
I think they could sum it up and say next year is going to be a grand S show.
You thought 2021 was bad? Just wait, people.
Yep.
When you
and
say
moving on to our last,
it's 2022, like 2022.
Well, this last one is just science. Science is such a beautiful thing. Anti-aging vaccine appears to work in mice. If you wanted a zombie apocalypse, this is how you get a zombie apocalypse. Mankind has been obsessed with gaining immortality for 1,000 years, but even despite this incredible advances in science and medicine achieved over the last few centuries, our species still remains such a vulnerable and to aging processes as our ancestors were millions of years ago. In recent years, however, scientists have been making good progress towards understanding exactly how the aging process works, as well as how it might be slowed down or even reversed. Of particular note is a newly developed experimental anti-aging vaccine that appears to be capable of slowing down the aging process in mice. It can even reverse the signs of age-related diseases. According to the National Institute of Aging, the vaccine works by targeting sentient cells, which are cells that have stopped multiplying due to age, but that won't die as they are supposed to. The older we get, the more cells accumulate, resulting in various age-related ailments. While treatments have been developed to remove these cells, a vaccine could potentially be more effective by helping to prevent the buildup of sentient cells in the first place. And I'm going to run out of time. You can run this from Unexplained Mysteries, but they've been testing in mice, seen some results. But like I said, you want a zombie apocalypse, this is how you get a zombie apocalypse. There's like a number of zombie movies that start out with them making an anti-aging vaccine.
Yep.
And they don't age. They just look really crappy and don't have brains and want to eat yours.
Mm-hmm.
It works, people. That's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight's guest is Rob Gutro. He's the author. He's a medium and author of Ghosts and Spirits, Pets in the Afterlife. Like I said, our theme this week has really been... Oh, wow, I am really off on my... There we go. Our theme this week has been about connecting with your loved ones in the afterlife. And Rob, I mean, he can talk to spirits or connect with spirits, but he can connect with animal spirits. And I know for many of you like me who've lost loved ones over the last year or even 20 years ago, it never goes away. They're always part of your family. And it's hard this time of year during the holidays for even pet owners. So join us tonight. You get to learn that they are here with us always, as well as many other aspects of the paranormal. Rob is such an interesting guest, and we'll have him right after the short commercial break.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including Zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Of the second kind, physical evidence of a UFO. Close encounters of the third kind, contact. From Steven Spielberg, the director of Jaws, comes one of the most ambitious and unusual films ever made. And what you will see has never been seen before. It's a cosmic mystery crossing what many scientists believe will be the next threshold of human experience. It is called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It begins in an Indiana town and leads to one inescapable conclusion. We are not alone. Encounters of the Third Kind, Certificate A, now showing at the Odeon, Leicester Square.
The international chart-topping, haunted horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by
5. Tonight on Paranormal Soup, we have returning guest Rob Gutro. Rob is an author, paranormal investigator, as well as a medium. He considers himself an average guy who just happens to be able to communicate with those who've passed. He's a medium on IGT, the Inspired Ghost Tracking Team of Hanover, Maryland. By trade, he's a meteorologist, so he tries to explain ghosts and spirits with science. He's had the ability since he was a teenager and has proved over time. He has had his first experience as he was a teenager when his grandfather appeared to him. Since then, his abilities have developed to the point where he can sketch out ghosts and get names and other information. He also wound up living in a house that was haunted. In 2005, Rob's late puppy became the world's best canine communicator, inspired Rob to write his first book. He has written 4 books and is currently working on 3 others. His breakthrough book, Ghosts and Spirits, provides similarities and differences between the 2 entities. Rob participates in private paranormal investigations, helps ghosts cross over, has provided countless messages for people or pets as ghosts or spirits. Each week, he receives emails from around the world from grieving pet parents and provides messages or comfort for free of charge. And he did this to my mom, actually, when she lost her pet. I think he did an email correspondence with him. He really felt he helped her. His books include Pets in the Afterlife, Pets in the Afterlife 2, Lessons Learned from the Talking to the Dead, and Ghosts and Spirits. Rob books have reached bestseller status on Amazon.com in various paranormal categories. They're all available in paperback or eBay. It's a pleasure to have him on as an honored guest and returning to the show. So let's get on right into it. All right, let's make sure we got Rob here. We got the 2 Robs tonight here. But Rob, our guest, how you doing tonight, Rob?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing good. It's like I said, it's an honor to have you on. I felt you would be perfect guest this month. When I was doing bookings, I had Robert Rickey, who's a medium book, Joe McQuillan, who's communicated with his son after his passing. And this month has been really a focus on how people can connect, or find mediums to connect, or connecting with their loved ones and know that they are there with us. Because I know the holiday season is the toughest time. Usually it is for me. I mean, I lost my Bella right before the holidays and Asia right after, pretty close to each other during this whole COVID mess. And I had a really weird experience I might tell you later. I don't know if I told you the last time we talked when that went down, but I just thought, we had all these people, like Joe McQuillan, lost his son. That's the worst loss, of course. But it's hard on pet parents. I know my mom, it gets close to holidays, thinks about, her dogs, that she's lost. It doesn't even matter if it's 20 years ago. I think these pets, the memories it's losing a family member.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it really does stay with you. I've lost 4 dogs myself, and as far back as 2005, the first one, and you never forget. That was a long time ago. So
yeah, they're part of the family. You lose any family member. People, the worst thing I hated, I had pets over the year. I had a cat. My parents had it. Really hurt when she lost and all that stuff. But my dogs were like really my first pets, my responsibility between me and my wife. And the worst thing people I think say to you they don't realize is like, oh, when are you going to get another dog? I'm like, I don't know. When are you going to get a new grandmother when she passes? I mean, I'm not ready. Thank you. I still get that a year later, and it still hurts. It still stings. So just think about that, people. When you don't say, when are you going to get a new dog? That doesn't work that way for everyone.
Yeah, that's true. But I will tell you, though, that in spirit, usually messages that I get, Jason, from other pets are that they understand that we're not replacing them.
I know.
They understand that we're
I think they help lead you to a new pet.
I've had pets,
like,
actually, I feel, send me pets even while they were sick, getting ready to go. Almost identical animal, everything.
Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely true. That's what they do.
Now, I have a lot of probably new listeners lately in the show, so I do want them to kind of get reacquainted with you. We've gone over it before with you, but I'd like to get in a little bit how this began. You as a teenager, you started having these experiences, and it's grown over the years. You had your professional life as a meteorologist, but you've developed this ability. You've written such excellent books on this. I'd love people to kind of understand how that journey began for you.
Sure. I heard you mention my first experience with my grandfather as a teenager.
Yeah.
But that I kind of put that on the back burner as I tried to figure out what I wanted to do with my life after being a teenager.
Most teenagers do, though.
Yeah. Well, we get caught up in trying to figure out who we are.
Right.
It wasn't until many, many years later, well, decades later, 2005, when I had a puppy. This guy here, his name is Buzz.
So
He's
adorable.
on the cover of Pets in the Afterlife 1. He passed away, and he gave me all kinds of messages pretty much immediately right after he passed. And he actually reawakened all my abilities. And having been someone that I always kept like a diary, I always wrote everything down, and I used those as the basis of my first book. So I've now written 3 Pets in the Afterlife books. Actually, I have 8 books out. They range.
You got to get an updated bio, obviously.
Yeah. Actually, and my Pets in the Afterlife 3 book just won an international award for one of the best grief books, which I'm humbled by because I never expected that. But what that tells me is that it's been helping people around the world, and that's cool. So Buzz taught me all kinds of ways that pets communicate, to answer your question, whether it's moving things or leading me to another pet that looks like them, or making noises, or so many different ways that we'll discuss as we go through.
Well, that's I think most people think I think some people, not just on a religious basis, but some people think that they're not souls, or they're not conscious like we are. They wouldn't be communicating with us on the other side. I've had enough of my own personal experience to know that's hogwash. That's what I really want people to learn tonight, if they have not heard you before, especially, is that they are here. They are with us. They are communicating. They're intelligent. They have thoughts. They have feelings. I mean, I've always said, look into your dog's eye. Not your cat. I love cats. Don't take this wrong, cat owners, because I have a cat too. But cats look like they'd eat you if you're small enough. But look into your dog's eyes.
My cat's eyes give me the same love.
I know. I joke. I love my cat. Don't get me wrong. But I swear, you look into at least your cat or dog, especially your dog's eyes, and you can see there's intelligence and feelings and soul. I mean, my Bella used to smile, like she used to have, expressions. I don't understand people miss that.
Yeah, well, it's easy to miss if you are devoted to a certain belief system, I think. So there are a number of religions that teach that, and frankly, I'm not trying to discount anybody's religious beliefs, but it's ridiculous. Scientifically, it's ridiculous. And I speak as a scientist because of the law of conservation of energy.
Yes.
And what I've come to learn is that, which states energy can't be destroyed, only transformed. So what a soul is really is memories, personality, and knowledge of this life, coupled with the physical energies in our bodies. That's like cell splitting. That's like thoughts or little electrical impulses of energy that can be read, of course, by an oscillograph. That energy has to go somewhere. So it's the same thing with people. Same thing with every living thing. Memories, personality, knowledge with energy, and then we choose to stay earthbound. That's what I call a ghost, or we cross over into the light, and that's what I call a spirit. So everything has the ability to cross over or stay behind. And for pet parents, just so you know, 99% of the time, your pets will cross over because your loved ones will be waiting for them on the other side.
But if pets stay behind, like as a ghost, like because I've been on Paranormal Investigations, you have, and I've been on locations where we have a ghost cat. I've seen that on investigations and TV shows, but I've actually been on one where it's like we have a ghost cat, and people have experiences with this cat. It's been there probably 100 years. Who knows? Because it's been told about for so long. So what keeps a pet like that to a location, especially if their loved ones, although the owners are definitely passed on?
So I've only encountered two. So one was a ghost cat, one was a ghost dog. And I know that the dog stayed behind because the dog passed first and did not want to leave her parents. And that was a dog that I encountered in England in a house-turned museum. And I was able to confirm that. That's in my book, Ghosts of England, Medium's Vacation. So there's that. And then the cat was the same kind of deal, is that the cat passed and was very, very devout to their pet parent and decided not to pay attention to the people on the other side and not cross over. And unfortunately, they get stuck here.
See, that's what I wondered. It's like they're like innocent to me, like children. So it bothers me when a pet's stuck. Just like when you find a spirit of a ghost and it's a child and it's stuck. I'm like, they're the innocents. They should all automatically something come and take them away. But for some reason, there is the small instances where they choose to stay. And that's the difference. Like a ghost, a spirit that's crossed on, that's different. They're different after that, right? But they can still visit. Right?
Yeah, so
they can still visit us.
Yeah, spirits can visit us anywhere, anytime, any place. So for the people who lost pets and have moved, I've moved a lot in my life. Don't worry, because the spirit of your loved ones, whether pet or person, will always find you. And that's because the love that we share with each other is like a little invisible tether. Love is like a beacon, and they can tune into that.
Well, I
can
mean,
find
look at
out
pets that
they-
would find their way home when they're lost, like cross state lines, and they find their owners. And there's miracle stories. I've read them. I always think they're amazing. Like, how did this pet find its way home, even to a new location? It found the owners. I've heard these stories. There's something there that goes beyond just animal instinct to draw them back to their owners like that. So even when they're alive, I think there's something there.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, a personal friend of mine up in Massachusetts had messaged me back in August and said her cat had gotten out of the house, and then she never expected her cat to come back after months and months. And she asked me if I could sense if the cat was still alive, and that's one thing I can do. I can't find lost animals, but I told her that I was not picking up the cat on the other side. And that was right after the cat had been lost. Well, the cat just returned the day before Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
So that was awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's the worst, not knowing. I've had friends have gone through that. I luckily didn't go through that, but where they lost the pet, never found the pet again. And that's just the worst, not knowing what happened to them. I've helped friends look for their missing dogs, and it's so heartbreaking when you don't find them. Or missing, cats are real bad. They'll take off for months and then suddenly come back. Usually pregnant. They're not fixed, but yeah, cats are real bad about that. I have an indoor cat. She's too scared to go outside. Thank God, because we would lose her.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Now, I mean, your books. I mean, people. We have you on to talk a lot about the pet spirits, and we're going to get into that tonight. But I mean, you do have communications with, like you said, your grandfather. That was one of your first experiences. Kindred Spirits is another really good book you wrote about your experience with your husband's. Was it husband's ex-fiance or boyfriend that you actually started communicating with?
Yeah, it was his late partner. They were partners for many years, and then they had broken up because of because his partner had a substance problem and needed some help. So he went to get some help, and he wound up passing away during that time. But they had a really tight bond, and as such, once he passed over, he realized that I have this ability, and he started talking to me. So we have kind of a triangle in our relationship.
It's a little messed up. To have that kind of triangle, but it's also beautiful. I mean, that he can still connect with, that your husband can still connect with this person, because when you have somebody in your life, relationships go south, but you still care about people. They're still a part of you.
Yeah. So actually, the spirit comes to me and doesn't really connect directly to Tom. And I'm actually writing Kindred Spirits too, because Ed never stopped talking. Yeah.
Well, why would he? I mean, he's got a way to be a part of this, part of life. I mean, but this is why, the focus of this month is really that our loved ones are with us. Even if they've crossed over, they're not ghosts, they're spirit, but they come and they're aware of what we're going through. They're here for us. I've had so many of my own experiences, but as well as experiences from people in the chat room. People call in. Speaking of chat room, thank you, Kim, for the donation on Super Chat. Helps pay the bills. But, this is why I wanted to do this show. You're the last guest of the month for this. But to really hit home with people that we can always reach out and communicate with them. And a lot of people seek out mediums like you. I know my mom, I believe we had a show with you, and she had lost one of her dogs. And you corresponded with her in email, and she felt like, you were wonderful, and it really helped, and you knew things that you shouldn't have known. And you do this free. I think that's incredible.
I actually used to do it for free, but
free.
It got to
I
be
understand
so
if you have to
long.
charge. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I charge $20 a reading because.
But that's nothing. That's nothing, Rob, at all.
I actually do it just for my time, because it takes me at least 30 minutes to do a reading, and I'm actually booked all the way out to May 2022.
See, that's why, in the end, why mediums do eventually have to charge. Because if you do it for free for long enough, people start finding out about it. You're going to be overwhelmed. So, but $20 is hardly nothing compared to what I know other mediums charge. So that's really
I want to make
much.
it affordable for people, and actually, kind of balance out my time. But because I did it for 10 years, you mentioned it. I did it for 10 years for free, and when you have 1,000 emails in your inbox and you're going,
Right.
oh my gosh.
Exactly. I think we talked about this when I
And
had you on
wanna
the show
help
last time.
everybody.
I think we talked about this when I had you on the show last time. Is like, you can't do that for free forever, buddy. Once your name gets out, you're going to get overwhelmed. And
Well, I'm
yeah,
retiring soon, so
from meteorology.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Well, I'm not as
weather's
young as
getting
I
too
look
crazy
on
for you,
video.
isn't it?
What's that?
So the weather's getting too confusing and crazy for you meteorologists. Time to retire.
No, I'm just getting old.
So, on this journey that you have pets, you have, loved ones that you communicate with. How has this ability, because you mentioned in your bio, I need to update, but how this ability's grown for you? Like, how did it, when you first communicated with your grandfather, what was that communication like compared to how the communication happens now?
Well, I didn't really give him time to talk to me because I was 14, and
Yeah.
he appeared to me visibly, and he really scared the crap out of me. So
Right.
I remember grabbing the dog. I was home alone with the dog, and I grabbed the dog, ran outside. I was scared, and who wouldn't be scared?
Right.
Seeing somebody standing there 7 months after they died in full color, and that was my first experience. And he's never come back. They don't. By the way, they usually don't come back if they scare the bejesus out of you.
Yeah,
the first time.
it's understandable. That's understandable. But I think, that's sad too, though, because you can't help your reaction to this. Society has trained us to have that kind of reaction to it. You can't help but be scared. He's dead. How is he standing here? It's sad though, because now you'd accept it. Now now you wouldn't be scared.
Yeah. Now I would have a conversation with him, like I do with Ed. And actually, what's kind of funny is that sometimes Ed will come to me when I'm driving, and I'm so glad we can tune into, we can take calls and stuff in the car now, because before
Right.
they'd go, look at that crazy guy talking to himself 20 years ago.
Just use a Bluetooth. I watch a show called Ghosts, BBC and American version.
Love
and I
it.
keep saying, you seen it? Yeah, I keep saying to the main character girl who can see the ghost, I'm like, she needs to just get a Bluetooth in her ear, because everybody thinks she's crazy because she's talking to these ghosts that aren't there. And that, just be like, I'm on my Bluetooth. She does the American version. She makes she goes boop boop, like with her voice, the fake like she's on Bluetooth. I'm like, just get a real device in your ear, lady. But yeah, I've been plugging that show. I love that show, Ghosts. Have you seen? Which one have you watched, American or the BBC?
The American one.
The American one. You should check out the original. I like the American one. Trust me, I really do like the American one. But the BBC one is what started it for me. We started watching that first, and you got to check it out. If you have HBO, it's on there. HBO Max. They have the 3 seasons of that on there. It's the British version. If you like British humor, but the comedy troupe that did it did Horrible Histories. They are brilliant actors, brilliant comedians, and they came up with this show. Now, of course, they have to Americanize it, make an American version, but it's actually really good. But definitely, Rob, check out the British version. I would love to get those actors on my show just to talk about what the process was of creating that storyline, because it's really popular in Britain, and the American version seems to be taking off, which tells me that more people are opening up to this idea that spirits are around us and that we can communicate with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's probably the most brilliant way to communicate that to the general public. I mean, if you can make them laugh, you can capture their attention, and instead of the serious stuff. I mean,
right?
We have way too many serious shows about it.
Yeah, well, that's what it makes it great. It makes people relax and have a good time and laugh, but actually take that idea seriously. I'm messing with my phone line here, preparation for phone calls later. It's been messing up. Hopefully we have that. But yeah, it preps people, in a way to open up to this idea through humor, and that's why I think it's so brilliant. But some of the aspects I'd like to, I've been actually thinking about getting back into writing and fiction, writing about ghosts, what I know. But what I find interesting about your books is the idea between what spirits and energy, is on the other side. What is, like, for instance, we talk about ghosts, they're stuck here, but when a spirit crosses over and visits us here, what's the difference between that and a ghost? Like, can you see the difference? Like, that's a ghost, that's a spirit that's crossed over.
Wow, that's a good question. So it's really more of a sense to me that
Yeah.
It's more of a feeling. So one thing that I've experienced is that earthbound ghosts emit negative emotional energy, and then they absorb it as such. So like
Yeah.
fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and so forth. So whenever I'm in the presence of a ghost, I feel anxiety. I feel like a heaviness. When I'm in the presence of a spirit, conversely, it's all light, it's happy, it's love, it's positive energy.
Yeah, I've experienced that feeling from a spirit in a haunted house. That this exactly the heaviness that you talk about, and anxiety. I have anxiety issues, but I'll know when I'm in a place because it's a certain feeling, a certain anxious feeling I get sometimes in a haunted location. That I know it's not seeing or hearing anything. It's a feeling inside I get, and I'll go, "Yep, this place is haunted." Like I said, it's
So
like
you're
almost a
feeding.
heaviness.
Yeah, you're feeding that ghost. So they feed on that stuff. They
Yeah.
feed on those negative emotions, and then in turn they spew it out. They make the living people feel those emotions. So it's a vicious circle, and that's why I always tell people, if you think you have a ghost in your house, call a paranormal investigator, have them cross the ghost over, because it really helps eliminate any discord and negative energy in your house.
Yeah, I've always felt like, you know, these spirits stick around long enough, they become something else. Maybe the by feeding off of the negative energy. Some of these ones, almost like a thought form too. Like you talk about a topa, a thought form that feeds upon itself or on the idea of our own consciousness or fears. But even spirits, if they feed upon this energy, they become parasitic. They be one, and I don't like bars because I feel like there's negative spirits that hang out at bars. Really, honestly, I do. I have had this feeling for years that there's spirits that passed on that were alcoholics, and they go right back to the joint where they got their fix, and they
And
get it off of people.
casinos.
And casinos. Yep, I don't like casinos
Right.
either. Yeah, I get bad feelings, bad mojo from all those places. Places. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with going to have a drink or having a good time with your friends or going to gamble a little bit. I'm not a prude. But I just get bad feelings from those places.
Yeah, there's a lot of negative energy. If they hang around too long, they become someone's mother-in-law.
Oh God,
I'm just kidding.
I know. But do you think there's a point for a spirit that they can lose their sense of who they were and they become something monstrous or something else? Because I've had my shadow person experience. I don't know. I don't think it was something living at any time, but it makes me wonder what happens to spirits if they stick around too long, feeding upon this negative energy. Because the shadow person definitely fed like a dark spirit would. I mean, it fed off my negative emotions.
I think they can become embittered.
Yeah.
So shadow. I've had a lot of experiences with shadow energies, and what I feel they are they're actual ghosts of people or pets that were alive, but they don't have enough energy to show up in full color. Because to me, it's all about energy, and
Yeah.
So shadow people to me are they're like ghosts that don't have enough energy to light the light bulb. Like you'll only see the outline of the light bulb if there's only a very, very small bit of electricity. But if you give them enough electricity and you turn that light bulb up, that power up, the light bulb lights up. And that's what I think shadow people are. Although, my friend Mike Ricksecker has written an awesome book or two about shadow people, and he describes.
Yeah, I have a story of my shadow person experience in one of his books.
Yes, I've read it actually. I did. Yeah.
And that shadow person, I don't know if you're going to get this. Sorry to interrupt you, but with Mike Ricksecker, and I want to get his book on shadow people because he had my story years ago. To me, it was there's people have a lot of experiences where they see a shadow and that I think like you're explaining, it is a spirit that's not able to manifest, doesn't have energy. But what I dealt with had a lot of energy. It could levitate me off a bed. It could do all kinds of things. It could move things, pick things up. It had all kinds of energy. It was dark blackness, like a void. I think it was pure negativeness. Well, I don't know whatever, pure evil or whatever it was. I think there are some things that are parasitic, maybe never even human, that exist on another level. They're rare. I don't think everybody's encountering things. I think a lot of times when people say they see a shadow person, it is, like you said, a spirit. But there are these things, certain things out there that can be real nasty.
Yeah, I agree about that too. That my theory about that is that the things that are non-human may have been life forms from other solar systems, other universes that come here. Because spirits, our spirits from Earth, can travel anywhere. They're energy. So what's to preclude other spirits from other universes? And I know there's
Yeah.
life out there to come here. And
Why
when they
not?
come here, sometimes they're hostile because they're
Yeah.
they're like a cornered animal,
Well,
cornered wild
to me,
animal.
this seems parasitic. I think some things are parasitic. They like just like the spirits are feeding off your anxiety and negative emotions. Emotions are energy, and things feed off of it. Zeriana, agree. Parallel universes is a possibility and all that too. But they feed off it like they're a parasite. That's what I felt like this thing was. It fed off of misery, death, fear, anxiety. Mike Ricksecker's book that I put my story in was his Paranormal Encounters 2, I believe. So check it out if you ever want to read that for anybody out there. But this best I know, the only experience I had, it was very frightful, drove me to the edge, and don't play around with these things if you do find one, Don't challenge it, don't play around. They are not to be messed with. Some people say they're demons. They might be, I don't know. But whatever they are, they're dangerous. They're parasitic. And I think most people's encounters with shadow people are what you described, though. This is like spirits that can't manifest, that energy. What is incredible to me is when they do manifest, when they have the energy to manifest. I saw I talk about on the show, especially this month, is some of the best stories I hear from people in the paranormal is when a loved one comes across to them, like your grandfather did. My grandmother did. She came through the mirror. I saw her in a mirror at work that turned totally black, and she was like in the like a candlelight glow, and her face appeared to me, full, like she's there in the mirror. You saw your grandfather physically. It seems like in these moments of need or after somebody passes, they're able to do these incredible things.
Yeah. So one of the interesting stories that I convey in my latest book, Ghosts and Spirits Explained, is about my aunt who crossed over, but I think she was on a lower level of the afterlife. She appeared to me as a dark shadow. She could not manifest. She could not manifest in color, and I was only able to sense who it was. Because I kept hearing her in my head, and she said she needed forgiveness from my mother in order to move to a higher level of the afterlife and find peace, because she was not at peace. Even though she had crossed over, she was not at peace. She was still missing that component. And she came to me. She actually came to me when I lived in the house that turned out to be haunted. In Kentucky.
But maybe that's why she did come to you. I mean, partly because you can see her, but two, you had lived in a house that could kind of let her in.
Yeah, there's a lot of negative energy in there, of course, from the dead guy that was in there. And again, when I lived in that haunted house, I didn't know it was haunted. I had to figure it out, and that's another story in that in the Ghosts and Spirits Explained book, where as kind of a freshman, if you will, I had to kind of figure out that it actually was haunted.
Wow. Wait, I know I've had a lot of people that call in with the haunted houses and that, and I'm trying to remember what was the spirit there that was haunting the house.
I believe that he was a Confederate soldier who died of the flu.
Wow, I wonder what he thinks now. But how long did you live in that house?
Too long. It was about a year. It took year and a half. I went back to school to get my third degree in meteorology, and with all the other stuff, it only took a year and a half to do it. But it was kind of scary. I mean, I actually thought the ghost was outside in that particular instance, because it kept pounding on the back door.
Oh yeah.
Every day at the same time, at 2:30 in the morning. By the way, the same day of the week at 2:30 in the morning, and kept scaring the heck out of me. I thought it was outside until one day I remember going into the kitchen, and all the cabinets were open, and there was nobody else home, and I'm like, they were not open.
Yeah.
2 minutes ago when I came in here. So that's when I knew the ghost was inside, and that's when I knew I needed help. So
Yeah, I mean, I tell people like they're dealing with this. They live in a haunted house. That's my specialty, is to investigate residential cases and all this. You know, when they have things like this happen, you talked about how anxiety and fear that these kind of ghosts feed upon. And I said, don't talk about the haunting and what you're experiencing in the house. Try to take a trip outside the house, converse amongst yourselves about what's going on, but don't do it in the house. Because I find when it happens, when I've interviewed people, things start happening, like it's feeding it energy. You know, and that's not what you want to do, because if it's going to manifest more, you're just giving it more of the juice, basically, that it needs. Always that, you know, with hauntings, that's what I find particularly interesting, is that they do feed off of these kind of energies.
Yeah, they do.
Even you, who's had, you know, believe and have the mediumistic experience, still got scared in this situation. You know, it's not a fun situation to live in a haunted house. I mean, our first apartment we lived in was very haunted, and we didn't stay our full. We had to give up our what do you want to call it, our deposit, and get out of there. You know, when you wake up to a woman standing over you going, "Get out!" Yep, you get out. You know, that's why I don't get. I do residential investigations, but half the time I don't get to investigate when I get a call. Most of the time, the people get out before I can get a crew in, and I don't blame them. The good ones. When there's like, I mean, I've had people send me videos of cabinets flying open and stuff moving, but I never get to go investigate it because they get the heck out.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah, that you know, the serious stuff. And people are like, "All this stuff is happening," and it's like a Disney World of paranormal. I'm like, yeah. And you're not moving out. You don't want to leave. No, I love it. Okay. Then I sometimes have my doubts, you know, or the person's just a special person that enjoys it, you know. But those are the rare. Most time people get out.
Yeah, because like we mentioned earlier, it's a vicious cycle. It just really
you're feeding it.
The emotions of the living people too. So, I have a whole book of paranormal investigations. It's this one here, Case Files of Inspired Ghost Tracking, where we went into. This is all about all the private homes that we've gone into and all the different things we experienced, and every single case is different. Every case is different because people are different. Every person is unique.
Yeah.
So we ran into angry people. We ran into happy people, ghosts. We've encountered Native American ghosts. Here in Maryland, there's a lot of Native American areas that have a lot of hauntings. Children, and also poltergeist activity, where living teenagers have projected activity that resembles a ghost. Yeah. So
I find those interesting because I'm a big Star Wars fan. I think that's like the closest thing to tapping into like the Force, and they can do like telekinetic things. They don't realize they're doing it, but they're really moving stuff with their own subconscious. You know, you know, maybe one day we'll have the powers of the Force. That's what I always think. But so we were covering. We were talking about your experience as a paranormal investigator, as a medium. I want to start getting into this experience with. It's been a long time since we read the book. Your first pet that you lost, that really
Buzz.
brought you over to the others, Buzz. About how let's talk about how he communicates with you. How this started.
Sure. So, well, it actually started right after he passed away, and the very first sign that he gave me. So, I was out for a walk with Buzz. It was February 22nd, 2005. You never forget, by the way. Yeah. And his leash opened, and he was killed by a car in front of me. And of course, I was fortunate to be living in a place where there were really nice neighbors, and even though none of them knew me, they came out and helped me, and they helped me put get Buzz's body to my house so I could take him to the vet, and so they could prepare him for cremation. But as soon as I got in the house, the first sign he sent me was a musical sign, and spirits of our loved ones will send you a musical sign. You will turn on the radio, for instance, at a time when they want you to. They influence you to do that, so you can hear the song on the radio that will remind you of them, or something appropriate. What's weird is that I left the house and there was no radio on, and I had a roommate, but he was at work all day long.
Yeah.
And so there was no radio on. But when I came in the house, the radio was on. and it was playing the song "The Dance" by Garth Brooks, which is about a man who had the opportunity to love someone very deeply for a very short time and enjoyed the dance. That was a really powerful sign to me.
Right.
The next song that came on the radio as I was trying to get my things together, and I didn't even know what radio was on, by the way, was another one. It's one by Alan Jackson. They don't play it anymore. It's called Monday Morning Church. My heart is as empty as a Monday morning church, which is really a great description of the feeling that you feel when you lose a loved one. So with that, those were the first two signs that Buzz gave me. And then he proceeded to move objects. I heard his collar. Over time, I adopted another dog, Dolly, who actually just passed in 2020.
I'm so sorry.
And right after I adopted Dolly, I remember thinking it was Dolly that I was following in the house at one night, and it was Buzz. I saw the tail end of a Weimaraner. Dolly was a Weimaraner. Buzz was a Weimaraner. I saw the tail end of a Weimaraner going into our my living room, and there was no exit from a townhouse living room.
Yeah.
You go in one way, you go out one way. I followed him in there, and I didn't know it was Buzz. I thought it was Dolly. And when I get in the room, I turned the light on, it disappeared. And I thought that was Dolly. What the heck's going on? So I ran upstairs. Dolly was sleeping on my bed upstairs, and I knew it was Buzz. So visible, audible, motion. He picked up a pair of shoes, or a shoe rather, and moved it across the hallway.
Oh, wow.
And scared the living daylights out of my roommate, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Because he loved to tear shoes apart.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm a believer. I saw my first real pet was a cat named Patches. And after she passed, this is not long after my shadow person experience ended, I'd gone through a lot of emotional distress. I saw her in my bed in light, dim moonlight coming through the window. I could almost see her outline.
Wow.
And I could hear her purring. I could feel her paws on the bed. And I knew it was, I was wide awake. That was Patches. And then just recently, with losing Bella and Asia, with Bella, I would hear Bella, like you said, like kind of that jingle. And with Asia, we'd hear her snorts after she passed. Even my son said he could hear her snoring and her snorts that she would make. She was a pug, and Bella was a puggle. Did I tell you what happened with Bella's passing?
No.
So, I know the audience has heard this, but I wanted to get your take on this. So, a few months before she passed, and before we knew about COVID, happening, I had a dream. Bella was 17 years old, so I knew she was getting towards the end. I couldn't believe she lived as long as she did, to be honest. The way she ate everything. Like, literally, I don't know how chocolate didn't kill her a long time ago. She'd find a way to eat anything she wasn't supposed to eat. She had an iron stomach. But I had this dream that I was at the vet's, but outside. We were going around the back to the vet's office, and they're putting Bella on this blanket. There's a nurse and another lady, and my two sons and my wife, and they're putting out Bella down. The sun's just setting. It's like a beautiful breeze. Like, I could feel it all. I remember it so clearly in the dream. And, I remember my son putting a little, dandelion by her head. And my other son just bawling and, just losing it. It was just all those scenes, and I dreamt about it. It was so strong. I remember saying it to my other coworker at the time. Where him and his partner, they don't have children. Their dogs are their children. And so we talk about our dogs all the time. And I said, "Oh, I had a dream. Bella passed. I guess that means it's probably coming soon." That's my subconscious telling me. I thought, no way this dream was a real dream, because no way I'd take my children. They're too young. I would not take them to have her put down. I thought that already. I would not do that to them. And the other thing is, why would they be putting her down outside? Well, I didn't know about COVID. I didn't know about COVID coming. And COVID happened. Bella got real sick. Just everything stopped working for her. And I knew it was time. And when we went to put her down, here we go, walking around the backside of the vet's office outside, the sun setting. It was exactly as I dreamt it. It was the exact dream, right down to Liam putting the little dandelion next to her head after she passed, and my other son wailing and losing his mind over it. It was hard. It was really hard. And not long after, we lost Asia, too, just to reopen the pain. I mean, she was 15 years old. So it was an incredible experience. And I don't know, why I was gifted to show it coming beforehand. I've had these experiences, of course. I've talked about on the show where I've dreamt stuff and it happens to the T. And sometimes it's asinine, stupid stuff I dream about, but sometimes it's like this one, really deep, emotional. I should have known it was real, because whenever I have a dream that intense, that emotional, I can feel the breeze and I can feel the emotions of it. Usually means it's real. It's going to happen. I just didn't want to believe it. I mean, I couldn't ask for a more beautiful, peaceful passing for Bella. Honestly, couldn't. And Asia too. She had one pretty similar. And both the boys were there for that one. That was just as hard. I'm trying to get through even talking about it. Even knowing that they were still with us, I mean, I still feel Bella and Asia. I've just recently been dreaming about Bella again. Like she's in the bed with us. And those are some of the toughest dreams to wake up from.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's also comforting too, though, that she's still with you through dreams. Because dreams are the easiest way for everybody to experience messages from their pets and spirit. But you have a gift of dreaming things that will happen. So that's to me that's kind of a psychic. That's a psychic gift.
Let's just hope it's not too good, because I've had too many dreams over the years of the zombie apocalypse. So let's. Like I said, I dream stuff that doesn't come true. I dream asinine, weird, stupid crap all the time. So it's deciphering what's real and what's not is always the issue. Let's hope the zombie dreams aren't real. But I'm just saying, I have all kinds of dreams. I have to, like, the way I determine it, and I have to think about if they're real. Sometimes it doesn't hit me till the moment of, like, oh yeah, I did dream. I dreamt about this, and I'll call something out. Like, this is going to happen because I dreamt about this. But sometimes my clue is the emotion in it. If I feel detached from whatever I'm witnessing or experiencing the dream, it's just probably a dream. Because in the zombie dreams, I'm like a superhero. I'm like killing zombies. I'm detached from it all. I know that's not going to happen, but like dreams that happen to friends or family or things that are going to happen to them, or even weird, stupid stuff. It's the emotion. Usually also in the dream, I will think in the dream, oh, I've dreamt this before. That's my other clue. Because in the dream, I'll say to myself, I've dreamt this before. And that's like my clue in the dream that this is going to happen. It's like a circle. I don't know.
Well, maybe you should not eat tamales before you go to bed and play video games with zombies in them.
Yes, that's true. It's true. I do play video games with zombies in them. But I haven't had the zombie dream since I was a kid, before pre-zombie games. But I just think it's my subconscious telling me that I think everybody's a bunch of brain dead zombies half the time. I don't know.
That could be.
But it could be. But, like I said, I feel Bella's presence. I actually think recently I've had dreams where Bella is trying to show me getting a new dog. And I've been really fighting that. I'm nothing wrong with people getting a new dog after their dog passes. I'm not saying that, at all. I understand it, For me, it's a little more like I can't. I can't do that right now. I don't feel like I'm in a place in my life.
Jason.
Yeah.
It'll be right when it's right.
Right now, we just spoiled the hell out of Luna, our cat, our Siamese cat, who's getting old too. And I'm like, we talked about moving recently, and I'm like, I don't want to move. I don't want to do that to my cat. She's too old for this crap. I don't want to we can't afford to lose her right now. I don't want to even fathom losing her right now. Like, I don't want to, that's our last pet left, and I don't want to lose her. But I have had these dreams recently where I feel like Bella's trying to tell me, like even showed me a dog. And it was weird. I'll tell you, in this dream, the dog was like a Pomeranian, but then its face changed into a Bella's face, a puggle, and then changed into Pomeranian. And I'm like, are you trying to tell me, Bella, you're going to be a Pomeranian next? And that's, because I do believe, do you believe this, I think, is that, they do get reborn too.
Yeah, so my take on that is that they do come back, but they usually wait until we're gone, and then we all come back together. Because they want to be waiting in the light for us to help our transition go easier. They want to give us something
That makes
to look forward
sense.
to.
Yeah.
So they'll send another dog or another cat, and lead us to one. And then the other thing too is that I've learned, and we talked about this before on previous shows, is that your dog or cat in spirit will come down to your new dog or cat and train them to have one habit or two habits that they had when they were living. And you'll notice your new dog or cat doing the same thing.
I've had so many people tell me of this experience.
Yeah. So they're training your dog or cat, your new one.
So sometimes people, go ahead. So go ahead, Jamie.
I have like a revolving door of rescue animals, and I have one particular cat that I've over time have the same patterns that these animals have. And I always know that
the past cat is teaching them the tricks. Mm-hmm. You want a treat, you need to do this. See, if Luna, I'll know this if we get another cat after Luna passes. If we get a cat and they jump up on my kitchen table and go meow, like she makes us pay a toll every time we come into the kitchen. Like, where's my treat? You're in the kitchen. It's a toll. You have to pay it. She does it every time. I swear that will continue on with whatever next animal after her we get, dog or cat. They'll be trained to do that because she's just that. It's a everyday thing with her. It's a toll you have to pay to enter the kitchen. She have to give her a cat treat. It started after Bella, which I actually, now I think about it, it was kind of like Bella's thing. Like, you go in the kitchen, she'd follow you in, like, where's my treat? You're in the kitchen. That's where these treats are. And I get one. After Bella passed, Luna started this thing where she would get up on the table and give me a treat. It was after Bella passed. So I wonder, now I think about that,
there you go.
Luna did not start doing that until after Bella passed.
Yeah.
And it's like a constant thing now. Like, give me, and we've been giving her treats for years, but it wasn't like she would, make us pay the toll every time we came in there. But as soon as Bella passed, because when Bella would be in the kitchen, she'd be looking at where's my pepperoni? Where's my treat? Like, you're in here, right? That's what you do. You give me a treat when you're in here. And it's like, I swear she passed that on to her cat.
So that's Bella's way of letting you know that she's still very much there, because she trained Luna to do the same thing.
Yeah, I would definitely believe that. I definitely believe that. And if we didn't give Bella a treat, then she would get into the garbage. Like, it's like, oh, you didn't give me a treat? Okay, well, I'll just take your garbage out and dump it all over the floor. So Luna gets up. If Luna doesn't get her treat, she starts knocking stuff off the kitchen table in protest. So, yeah, it could be, She used to sleep with those dogs, and, like, she had, I don't know what her little cat brain thinks now that they're gone. She flips out when she goes to the vet and, like, it's all right, because when they left, they didn't come back. So you wonder how it affects your cat, your dogs, your pets when they see the other one leave or they lose one, what they know or what they see if they see the other pet from the other side.
Well, that's a good point. And I will tell you that I noticed, having lost 4 dogs, I noticed that our pets grieve the same way that we do when one of them passes. And so for people who have multiple pets, know that they actually sense your other pet in failing health. And they often know what's coming. Animals in the wild do this all the time. They know when another animal is going to pass away. So one thing that we did with our dog Dolly, we couldn't do it with Franklin because COVID had just hit. It was May 2020. We had to actually take Franklin to the vet, and they actually let us go in with him, fortunately. But there was nobody that would come out to the house because of the restrictions and so forth.
Right.
So we couldn't have our other dogs there. But with Dolly, in October 2020, when she passed, we had a mobile vet come to the house. And just like you said, Jason, with the same scenario, the sun was out. It was peaceful. It was warm.
Yeah.
It was October.
Mine was November, but it was unseasonably warm.
Yeah. So we put her in a blanket. And we made sure that our other dogs, Dash and Tyler, were there, and they were watching, and they understood what happened. And we let them sniff her after she passed, so that they understood what had happened.
So I wish I could have done that for Asia.
When mine passed, like I had a mom who had a litter of 4. They all had problems. They were inbred. So a lot of the babies didn't live long. Well, the baby, she's 3, very attached to the mom. The mom passed away before her, and you could see her grieving, like crying. You could actually see her grieving. And then the special cat I have, who's like the daddy, the Mufasa to the whole tribe, he'll act a certain way when I know that there's something coming with one of them, and you can see him grieve. And so when they pass, I'll actually leave the animal on a blanket on a little bed and let them all come up and smell and understand what happened, instead of just taking them away, them wondering what happened, because they get it.
Yeah, it's what broke my heart about when we took Bella. Was Asia couldn't take her with, and I mean she was getting old. She was doing all right at that time, but after, it's like as soon as we came back, it's like she knew. She just laid there with her head down, and she didn't get up for a long time. And then she didn't want to eat. She didn't want to drink, and it was a few weeks later that we had the same thing. She fell apart really quickly after Bella.
And they can die from a broken heart,
she just stopped,
too.
Basically, yeah. She just stopped eating and wanted to do anything.
Yeah.
And it was like hard. We did everything to try to like keep her right and like keep her. Maybe we can keep her a little bit longer. And she was, when Bella went, it was like, all right, I'm going to. They've been together for so long. All Asia ever knew was Bella. Was her sister, adopted sister. But they slept together every night. Imagine taking, when somebody loses their significant other, that's what we did. And, I felt like, I say that's what we did because the worst part about putting your dog down is that decision. We had to make the decision. I know we had to make the decision. Bella was not moving. She couldn't control her body anymore.
Yeah.
She probably had a stroke.
You waited till you watched her quality of life really well.
Well, we got to go to commercial break. I'm losing track of time here. We're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to open up the phone lines. Have you had an experience with your pet after they passed on? They came back to you. I'd love to hear it. Or do you have a question for our guest tonight, Rob Gutro? He's an author. He's a medium. He's written a numerous amount of books on these topics. Call in tonight. Ask your questions or share your experience. But we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope.
That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including Zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Nation magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Edgar Allan Poe wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
So they're okay. So, does anybody want to play Parcheesi? Okay, who brought the dog?
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Rob Gutro. He's an author, he's a medium, he's written numerous amount of books on these subjects: Ghosts and Spirits, Pets in the Afterlife 1, 2, and 3. Pets in the Afterlife 3 was named Book Authority's Best New Grief Books. The book also reached Amazon's #1 new seller status when it was published early 2021, or I believe that's 2021. We are going to talk tonight about your pets on the other side. We've been special this month focusing on how our loved ones are with us, and our pets are our loved ones. They are our family members. And I'm just trying to reach people out there, let you know if you're really missing your pets this holiday season, like I'm missing mine, that they're there with you. They're always there with you, and they'll be waiting for you on the other side. And that's going to get us to our next topic to talk tonight, is about how your pets pass on and your loved ones who passed on meet. They take care of your pets on the other side. Rob's written a lot of great stuff on this, and he's done readings for people and seen this, and we're going to talk about that tonight. And like I said, the phone lines are open. Call in. Join the conversation. I forgot to play the little thing with the phone number, so it's 219-230-4444. You can also call in at 260, messed that number up. I'll get that number later in a second. There's also Skype ID, OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. Those are some of the ways to call in. I'll get the other phone number. I totally forgot to write that number down and forget it. But you can call in tonight, join the conversation. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. Thank you for hanging in there with us, Rob. The other Rob had to book it. He's trying to recover some pink eye issues for Rob. Yeah. But so he was going to take off early tonight. But yeah, I'm sure he's listening in heart and spirit. I know Rob's lost pets too. Now, the subject of your pets and your loved ones who passed over on the other side, what's your experiences with that? That, you're like a family member who's passed on. I know you've done readings for other people and communicated this, but what is your experience with your loved ones taking care of your pets when they move on?
So I had a really a powerful example happen in 2020 when our dog Dolly passed. Now, Dolly, as I mentioned, was a Weimaraner, and she was 1 month shy of 16 before she passed. For a 16-year-old dog at 75 pounds, I mean, she lived a long time. And in fact, in the last year, Jason, she was wearing a diaper because she was incontinent with both.
I was having that same problem with both my dogs towards the end. Yeah.
Did you have them in diapers too, doggy diapers?
Oh yeah, I did. I had to.
And that's tough, but
it is.
But they know, they let you know when it's time. Dolly, for a year though, she wore that diaper, and right up to the last week, she did agility in the living room. I used to teach them agility in the living room, all of our dogs. She walked around the neighborhood like 3 days before she passed. She was amazing. And I think that she had a very strong spirit because she wanted to be there for me. And that's what our pets do. They hold out as long as they can, and then they let us know. Dolly had a disc slip in her back and paralyzed her back legs. And she looked at me when that happened, and I knew it was time. So that last night, she slept in the kitchen in a big bed. And every night, myself and Tyler, our dachshund, who was bonded to her, that would sleep with her every single night of his life. Tyler and I would sleep out in the kitchen on the floor until she fell asleep, and then we would go into the bedroom, and he would go into his bed, and I would go in my bed. But we wanted to make sure she was asleep. The last night, at I think it was 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, everybody had fallen asleep on the floor. Dolly woke up, and she kept staring at one of the doors in the kitchen. And I tried to get her to put her head down. Finally, I looked over where she was looking, and there in the doorway were my mom and dad who passed. Our friend Ed from Kindred Spirits, Franklin, who had just passed 5 months earlier, Buzz, and Sprite, our 3 dogs in spirit. And I was shocked. I mean, it's really emotional for me to talk about this right now. But I saw them there, and that's what she was looking at. That's why she wouldn't put her head down. They were telling her it was okay to cross over. And that next day, I heard from my friend Ruthie, who is the Beantown medium, and she sent me a text. I sent her a quick text, and I said, Dolly passed. And she said, Rob, I've connected with Dolly. And she said, Dolly tells me that your mom and dad were there, and some other guy was there, some younger guy in his 30s, which was Ed. And she said, Franklin, Sprite, and Buzz were all there. She said she didn't say them by name. She said, and 3 dogs. So she confirmed exactly what I saw in that kitchen that night, the night before she passed. Wow. So our ones are there in spirit waiting.
That's that's what I've heard so many stories of people like near-death experiences where they encountered not just their loved ones that passed on, but their pets that were there during a near-death experience. So I mean, there's a lot of accounts of this. We got a couple people on hold. I'm hoping I might have screwed up something on this phone line, but we should have somebody at 804 area code. Do you hear me? Who do we got?
Hi.
Hey.
It's Linda in Virginia.
Linda in Virginia. Hey, Linda. Thanks for calling in.
Hey. I wanted to tell you real quick before I share with you what I wanted to. I did yesterday check into that show Ghost. We updated our cable server.
Yeah.
And I'm able to go back and backtrack shows. And we got the whole series of Ghost.
Did you watch into the American version?
Yeah, the American version. We started it yesterday, and we love it.
Oh, yeah. If you love it, trust me, check out. I mean, I love the American version, but definitely after you finish that season, check out the British version. It's worth it.
Okay.
There's 3 seasons
I'll
of that.
see if we can get that.
Yeah, that's on HBO Max. I know they have it on there, but you might be able to find it. I don't know. But anyways.
Yeah. Did you ever see the series Better Off Dead?
No, I didn't. I've seen a lot of these
If you
afterlife
ever get
shows. Better Off Dead.
If you ever get a chance, check that out. It's about people that die, and then they're designated to help people cross over.
So it reminds me of a
It's
show.
an
One of the shows I liked and only had 1 season, and they canceled and unnerved me, made me so mad. And I had a famous Art Bell there felt the same way as I did. Was Dead Like Me. I loved that show where they died and the character becomes a reaper. She gets killed by a flying
I'm sorry,
toilet seat.
That's it. That's the name of it.
Oh,
Dead Like.
Dead Like Me. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they only had the 1 season. It's heartbreaking. Dang TV.
Oh, I know, and I loved it.
Me too.
Okay, so what I wanted to share an experience that has happened is that, as you know, and I've called in before, is that, my daughter recently passed away.
Yeah.
And she was very attached to my lab that we have, Emmy. And, I mean, they were sisters in another world. I mean, they just loved each other all the time. And anytime my daughter would come over, I mean, her and that dog, they just, old friends hanging out and just having a wonderful time together. And so since my daughter passed, it's broken my heart because I don't know that, that the dog understands, that Emmy understands that she's gone. And, for the longest time, when she'd hear a car that sounded like my daughter's, she'd get all excited and then just sit back on the couch and just sigh when she didn't come in the door. So, one night, it's really, really weird, but in my heart of hearts, I know this was a sign from my daughter. My daughter had bought Emmy a little stuffed duck, and whenever my daughter would come over to the house, Emmy would grab that duck and run up to my daughter and show her, look, I'm taking care of the baby, and they'd make a big deal, out of it. And so one night, maybe about 3 months after my daughter passed, I got up, and I came out here in the living room, and Emmy was sleeping on the love seat. And in the middle, and this is just impossible, in the middle of her back, and Emmy was asleep, and in the middle of her back was that duck baby.
Like somebody sat it on her.
Yeah, like somebody had
the
fed
dog
that
couldn't
duck
do that.
baby. No, absolutely no way did that dog do that.
Wow. That's incredible.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Not crazy to me. Not crazy at all. That's part of the course for this show and the experiences people have, and I think it's incredible. This is my favorite thing to hear from people is these experiences about their loved ones on the other side, that your daughter is connecting with you and the dog that misses her because they're family members.
Right, exactly. And the only other thing that happened, and I have got no logical answer or anything to this, and in my heart of hearts, I think it was my daughter, but right after she died, we don't let the dog in the room with us because the bed's just not big enough. She's a lab, and
Yeah.
She's pretty big, so she sleeps outside our door. And we had gone to bed early, my husband and I, and was watching TV. And I think we've been in there 10 minutes, maybe tops. And we heard the loudest moan. And I mean, it just echoed through the whole house. And we paused the TV to listen.
Yeah.
It wasn't the dog. I mean, you know, we contemplated if it was the dog howling.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was the dog howling. You know how, like, on ghost shows, you know, they'll go like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it sounded
Really?
like.
Wow.
And for the life of me, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. So anyway, I just wanted to share those little incidents.
I think those are incredible. And, you know, I hope our shows these last couple months, Linda, are helping you. I mean, losing a daughter, I can't imagine. And I know that
I hear
the
you
holidays
talk
are hard.
about how your fears with your son, and I know, I got you, because as a parent, you worry so much, you know. And I so relate to you when I hear you say that you worry about your children.
I feel bad because I feel like I pass it on to my oldest son who has anxiety issues, and he's worrying about all this stuff that I'm like, I said, don't stop worrying about this stuff. I said, that's my job. Let Dad do all the worrying. Don't worry about it, kiddo. I don't want you to worry.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. And I feel like now I feel even worse because I'm passing on my anxieties to him. So I've been trying to change and not be a worrywart in front of my son at least.
You acknowledge it, so that's
Yeah.
good.
But yeah, I felt bad. when he was
Yeah,
just
that
having a breakdown.
acknowledgement that you understand, you know, I think it's normal being a parent. I mean, and that's just that bond and that love. And I had to one day let go, and it was a very hard thing to do. But that didn't happen until she was up in her 20s. So it kind of works. So okay, enjoy the show, and I'm listening, and great, awesome.
Thank you, Linda. You have a great night.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye. All right, we got somebody else on the line here. I'm hoping it kept him on hold. Yeah, I think so. It says on hold. Let's take him off a hold. There we go. Should be there. You there, Zach?
I'm here, brother. How you doing?
Hey, man. Thanks for calling in. I'm sorry. I had to move you phone lines. It was like, no, let me put you on hold and see. I got other people calling in that I have to hang up on here because I can only do one phone line at a time. So 219-230-4444 might be open, but sometimes I get messed up. Let me see if I can take it on the other line. Hold on a second, Zach. Managing phones, they are starting to blow up. But thanks for calling in tonight. What do you want to share?
Okay, so tonight I'm just going to share some experiences that I had, and I'll keep them as short as possible. So, actually, one of them so far is a Rob story on this. So, and I'll tell my experiences.
Rob Autry?
No, Rob Gutro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I'd like to get your input, Rob, just after I share my experiences, just see what you think. So, Rob was appearing over on another show that I follow, The Outer Realm, one time. And this was a couple months after I unfortunately had to put my mini doxy to sleep. And I remember I was listening into the show, and I was out in my backyard just smoking a cigar and listening to the show. And where I was at, I was on a brick walkway that I have in my backyard that has two plants that are on two opposite sides that leads to like a wider area that's right near where my parents' bedroom is at. Well, while he was on the show talking, I turned to my right to where I can see the two plants right there. In between on that walkway, I could see the outline of my mini doxy just running towards me. And she had a very funny run.
Oh, wow.
Is that whenever she was running, she would always just bounce while she would run. And all of a sudden, this apparition just disappeared on me.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy cow, I'd never seen that before. And it's like, and then actually something just happened today. I'm in front of a fire pit outside my fiance's home right now. And I was looking back towards my car, just looking in that direction, and I looked back towards the fire pit. And down by the fire pit, just I could see the outline of this cat just come walking up towards me and about to rub against me, and it just disappears. And like anytime that I see Rob, just I always get that kind of an experience. Just
Yeah, 2
of
shows.
some
Like,
animal
I know.
apparition just appearing, just out of nowhere.
Is it like
That's
a
awesome.
shadow when you say an outline?
Yeah, it's actually it's an outline I can see. It's kind of a shadow, but the cat. What I personally believe is that I think it is actually one of my fiance's cats that I did have a close bond with. The cat has passed away several years ago, but the cat's name was Doodle. And Doodle and I were buddies and all this. Like, this cat would just come right up to me every time I'd come up. I'd give her treats, and she'd let me pet her. All of her other cats, you know, they could care less about me. But this cat we were really tight with. And I guess going back to really my miniature doxy, just one thing that I do observe is that anytime that I do see some kind of a doxy, they'll always come right up to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like they very rarely ever will let my fiance touch them at all. But to me, they'll come right up to me. They'll be ecstatic. They'll let me pet them and everything else. Like we went to a cigar lounge here in Mesa, and there's one doxy that did come in with the owner and all that. My fiance pointed out to me, she says, "Oh, look, it's so cute." And I look over, and there's this long-haired doxy. It just comes running up, and it just jumps right on my lap. I'm the first one. And, you know, he's really cool. His name was Hugo. He just lets me pet him and everything else. It's just something else that I've observed for quite a while, is that for some reason, just whenever doxies are around, they just come right up to me and all that. Anyway, I just wanted to know, Rob, just like what would be your feedback based on what you've heard?
Well, obviously that your dachshund, that you had a very close bond, and that your dachshund is actually influencing any of these other dachshunds to come to you, so that you'll know that your dachshund is still around you. So they, like, just like pets can influence other things in nature, like birds and butterflies and rabbits and so forth, they can also influence other dogs to have some interesting behaviors. And I actually have a story for you about that, Jason. Something that's really beyond the scope of possibility. But that's what's going on, and the cat too. And because you're sensitive to spirit, that's why the cat can appear to you too, and you'll know what it is. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and I don't want to take up too much of your time as well, but I've recently, though, within the past couple months, my mother's been feeding a lot of the outdoor cats that we have, and there's this one cat that I've become really tight with. His name is Buddy. He's a tuxedo cat. But I also call him another name because he's got a certain black patch over on his face that looks like a certain part of the male body, which I shall not mention. But yeah, I mentioned
like that meme I keep seeing.
Yes,
gosh,
it's like the meme. It's like the meme.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, this cat, like he'll let my brothers, pet him and all this stuff. But what this cat will do is that when he sees me, I'll be out in the backyard just having a cigar, and this cat will just come walking right up to me, and he'll rub up against me, and he'll let me pet him and everything else. And he never does that with any of my other brothers. And like I just got some feeling that just this cat and I had some kind of bond before we even physically met each other. It's almost like he's like a reincarnated pet that I had before. I'm like, this cat and I never knew each other, and then he starts coming up to me and all this stuff and showing me affection, and I do it back to him. And I don't know, it's really interesting.
I think you're on point with that, because sometimes we will meet people in life that we suddenly have a strong connection with or a strong attraction to, and we don't understand how that happens. And that's because we met them in a previous existence.
I totally believe that is possible. Yeah.
Well, that is all that I had. Thank you so much, Rob, for
awesome.
providing your insight over to my experiences, man. I greatly appreciate it, and I love hearing everything that you're saying, man. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in, Zach.
All right, guys. Everybody have a good night and have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
all
have
right?
a Merry Christmas, bud.
Bye-bye.
All right, I got somebody else calling. The phone lines are blowing up here. Let me see. Accept. All right, so we don't run out of time. Let me take this call now here. All right, who do we got on the line?
Hi, this is Chandra.
Hey, Chandra, how you doing?
I'm good, Jason. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Did you get to see your spirit? I did the first phone call so far. I've gotten through as yours, the spirit box session we did.
I have not gotten to watch that back, but I will.
Yeah, let me know. I want to hear what you think of it because there's some interesting responses in there.
Oh yeah, I'll have to do it with headphones because I'm deaf. So.
Oh yeah.
So my question for the guest is, do you think that sometimes animals are in our life, like say we have an illness or something like that, that they try to take the illness from us, and that can make them pass sooner?
I don't think they can take the illness from us, but they do definitely offer us comfort when we need it.
I think they sense it.
Yeah, they can definitely sense it. I mean, so one of the things I've learned about dogs too, especially dogs, is that with their sense of smell, it's so much greater than ours. So there are cancer sniffing dogs. There are actually COVID sniffing dogs that I've read about. So they know when we're sick. I don't think they have the ability to do that. I think people do. Like the art of Reiki is the art of energy, and you can heal to some extent, people with Reiki. I'm not a Reiki master. I don't practice Reiki, but animals offer that comfort that people can't sometimes.
Interesting. Well, I know dogs can sniff things because they have dogs for people that have diabetes, or they can smell the blood sugar, or people that have epilepsy. They know that they're going to have a seizure.
Well, look at cats in nursing homes. Like there's so many stories of
Oh,
cats in
bring
nursing
that
homes.
up. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
they know when the person's going to
Right,
pass.
they do know.
It's not
They
just one
do
cat this
know.
has happened with. This has
Door.
happened several different nursing homes with cats that they know which person's going to pass that night, and they sit
They
on their
do.
bed. Yeah.
We have a nursing home here where my son's great grandmother was in, and they had this cat that they knew that when the cat went and slept on the person,
Yes.
that person was going to die.
I know of a
Because
nursing
it
home
just,
in our.
just knew.
I know of a nursing home in our. I don't know if it's just outside our town where some a girl that worked in a nursing home and have a cat that does the same thing there. This is like a very common thing, that these
Right.
cats know.
They're very, very aware. Well, that's just interesting. I was just curious about that because I had a dog that passed just a few months ago, Smokey, and then Pepe is really sick. So I just
so
I was
sorry,
like I can't lose another one so close together.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. But it seems like they go together. I hate to tell you that. It seems it's very common for them to go together, very close.
Yeah, and I just really hope my son's dog just lasts because that's going to devastate him when that happens. So
yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and you guys. I'll be back online to listen because I can't listen while I'm talking. So
okay. Well, hey, let me know what you think of that spirit box session. You'll find it on YouTube.
I will for sure. I'll go find that. Probably tomorrow after work.
All right, yeah, let me know what you think because, like I said, there's some really interesting replies in yours. You'll hear in that session it repeating back to us the things we're talking about at that time, too, which is really
like that. I'm not gonna like that.
But I'm just curious if there's anything in there that you relate to or a message in there that I'm not aware of that I tagged that maybe has some meaning.
I do know when it was live that one of the voices that came through sounded exactly like my Aunt Thelma. So
we had a lot of that night. Voices of loved ones that were coming through sounding like them. I heard my grandmother that night. I heard her name and then I heard her say my name.
At least yours was positive.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later, though, Jason. So your guest can talk to some more people.
All right, man. You have a Merry Christmas, Chandra.
You too, sir.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, last week we did I didn't have a guest. We did open lines and live spirit box sessions. I don't know if you've ever seen one of our shows that do this, Rob, but we open up the phone lines, we let people call in, and we let to see if the spirit box will connect with them. I don't care about reaching celebrities with the spirit box. I don't care about all that other stuff. What I enjoy about doing the spirit box is live on this show, people calling in and connecting. We had Royal, I think he heard his mother's voice that night. And at the same time, when he was hearing that, I had said right before we took started the spirit box, I said, I was talking about a dream I had of my grandmother and my aunt where I could feel them hugging me. And I'm like, I've been wanting that kind of dream, or I'm missing my grandmother. It's the holiday season. That's why we're doing these shows during this holiday season. And sure enough, I heard my grandmother's name, which was not a very common name, is Vera, come across while his grandmother's come across. And then I heard her voice say, Jason, on it. I can't wait to get to review that, but I know those two things I heard for sure. And that's why I do those spirit box. I decided to do one during the holiday season when I had a guest cancel, because it's another way I'm trying to convince people that your loved ones are around you.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Now, I wonder if a pet spirit could come through. I don't know. I've actually had people call in for that.
I have a
before to
story
see.
about that I'll tell you sometime.
About a
My
pet
own
spirit coming through?
experience, my own, while she was being cremated, the way it all got put together.
I know Rob has a story too. I don't want to lose track of. You said something you want to talk about, but we got phone lines have been blowing up. I don't know if this is Chandra again though. It says the same name. It wasn't her name, but it might be the stupid caller ID.
Hello.
Oh, no, it's somebody different. Who do we got on the line?
Hey, my name's Max.
Hey, Zach. Thanks for calling in.
So I currently had a recent family member pass away, and I'm wondering if you guys are able to get in contact with them on air.
Well, we're not doing readings live on air, no.
You're not? Okay.
We're not doing the readings live on air. I do have shows with mediums that will do that. Rob, I don't even want to give your information out where he could contact you. I know you do readings through email.
Yeah, Robert Rehe.
Not Robert Riggy. No, that's a guest we had on. This is a different Robert. We have a lot of Robs on this show. This is Rob Gutro. Hey, say hi, Rob.
I'm the pet guy.
He's the pet guy.
I'm the pet medium.
Hey, Rob.
Hi.
Okay.
Oh, he hung up. I had a feeling about that call. We'll see. All right, Jamie. I'm going to get to Rob's story, but Jamie, I don't want to lose track. What was your experience you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, well, a cat that I was very, very close to that I had rescued, she was a runt. She lived her life, pretty full till she got kidney failure. And one thing, when I would stand at the kitchen table, she would always come up behind me, climb up my back, and when I had a bun, do this thing where she'd nuzzle her head in my hair to get her treat. So she had passed away, and I had been waiting for her cremation to be processed. And one day I was just doing a random testing somebody's app. I was in the kitchen, standing in that spot, set up just a speaker and, my phone, and just asking random things. Didn't bring anything up about her. And all of a sudden I felt the feeling of Tiger coming up and nuzzling my head. And I thought, that's so weird. It feels like Tiger. Mm-hmm. Well, 30 minutes later, I got a phone call from them that they had just, processed her a little while ago. So I think I felt it while it was happening. Well, I had not really reviewed the session. It was just a test, and I had posted it. And someone wrote back, they said, were you hearing that cat? And I said, well, I've got, several cats. One could have came through. But when I listened back to it, it was part of the radio audio. It wasn't an outside cat. And it was at the same time that you could see that I was like physically feeling that spot.
Wow. So cat coming through kind of on the spirit box.
I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And we've had people call in for their pets.
Looks like she has a giant cat shadow behind her, by the way.
Oh, it does kind of. I didn't even think about that. But Rob, with the last caller, I think it was Zach. You mentioned an experience. What was that? That you wanted to relay?
Oh gosh, it just went out of my head.
Oh, what was it? I'm trying to remember what it was in reference to. Something Zach was talking about. I think it was Zach, or was it Linda? No, it was Zach. What was it? Or was it Chandra? I can't remember. Which you had something you wanted to talk about, an experience about.
Yeah, oh gosh, there's so many things.
Darn it. Happens
there's
when it gets late.
So many ways that pets can communicate with us, and seeing their, certainly seeing their shadow is something that is very common. And usually we'll see a shadow of a pet out of the corner of our eye, because we don't have the ability to see them straight forward.
Right.
They move at a higher vibration, so we can only see them at the corner of their eye. But often we'll see them. We'll see them for a second, usually where they like to sit or lounge or whatever. As a matter of fact, when my dog Dolly passed, I've seen her a couple of times on her bed. We still keep her bed there because I refuse to move it. And every night our dog Tyler comes in from outside. He does exactly what he used to do when she was alive and in that bed out in the kitchen. He goes in the kitchen and he starts making a bed right next to where she used to be. And I have to tell him, no, Tyler, she's not there. Let's go to bed. And he'll stop and look at me every night. This is every single night. And then we'll walk in the bedroom together. And so the person that was addressing grieving, how pets still grieve, just like us, absolutely right. They grieve the same way. So we need to show them more attention after the loss of another pet.
Yeah, we did that with Asia, because we could tell right away it affected her. Bella didn't come back. And she, like I said, stopped eating. We were trying to do anything we could to kind of coax her and, love on her and let her know she's all right. I wish I could have let her sleep in the bed with us, but she was so incontinent at that time. I couldn't. Yeah. Because I just felt every night we'd go to bed and she's alone. I mean, Luna would go lay down with her, which I thought was, like Luna trying to comfort her, the cat. But I always felt bad leaving her at the end of the night, after Bella passed, because she spent all of her life sleeping next to her.
So I have some advice for people who have the same kind of situations.
Yeah.
Number one, they can take the dog or cat's favorite toy, the dog or cat that passed, their favorite toy, because it has their scent on it, and put it in the bed with the living dog or cat. Number two, you can put like your socks or a T-shirt in bed with your living dog or cat. And that way your scent is with them. And that's what's most important. That offers them a comfort. I even do that with our dog Dash, who is afraid of thunderstorms. I'll take my T-shirt off and I'll put it in his bed so that he has my scent right next to him. And it usually calms him down. So scent is really important when it comes to that. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, we left Bella's blanket in the bed with Asia. But
perfect.
Like I said, it broke my heart every night watching her go lay down. I mean, she just spent most of the whole days laying down. She barely got up after Bella's passing. That was the worst. And that's, like I said, she quickly fell apart. But like I said, I couldn't ask for, they both lived long lives. I can't ask for better lives for them. 15 and 17 are pretty old for their breed of dog, especially for Bella. Being a puggle, 17 years old was amazing that she made it that long, And people lose pets like you did by a car crash when they're young and early. It's just like feel like so much time is robbed, and I feel very lucky that we got all that time with her. So I can't be selfish. She had to move on. I didn't want her to be in pain. That's the hardest thing. Like I saw some of you say, "Yeah, Jason, that's the hardest decision to make." It is. It's part of the reason why I haven't moved on and got another pet. I don't want to face that again. I just don't. I don't. I've watched my parents go through it before I had to, and I thought, oh my God, I don't want to look forward to. I'm just dreading this decision when it comes, because I watch how they struggle when they've had to put pets down or they've just passed away. But making that decision was like so tough. I don't want to do it again. I just don't want to. It's one of the reasons it's blocking me from taking on another pet.
I have another a story. It's only my second pet ghost type of experience, and it's where they continue doing their same activities every morning. Ladybug would chase all the cats up and down the hall, like the first thing they would do when they would go get their food. And after he had passed, I would hear the cats still running up and down the hall as if Ladybug was chasing him. And then I was in the restroom the third morning, and the door was open, and I could actually see a ball of light running up and down the hall as the
Wow.
cats were chasing it.
Wow.
And I had seen that probably 4 or 5 times.
Wow. I remember on
That's
years
awesome.
ago on the World Wide Web of Weird, some pet owners had their dog who had passed literally show up on video camera as this translucent animal on video coming down the hallway like it always would do, as according to the story. And you remember that video, Jamie? It was a translucent dog. It comes running at the camera, goes around, and like they see it with their eyes, and then with the camera, it like almost physically materialized there.
Wow.
That's some of
And
the
I don't
best
think it was
footage.
fake. I think that was some of the best footage we've had. I don't think it was fake at all. And I sometimes these pets can really manifest, really physically manifest for all to see. It's incredible. These pets can be powerful spirits on the other side.
Takes a lot of love energy for them to do that. So
When somebody reaches out to you about connecting with their pets, how does that work? I mean, what is your experiences when you are doing a reading for somebody's pet on the other side?
Hey, that's a good question. So I always do my readings by email because I need a lot of concentration. I'm not like a
Yeah.
popular medium who can just go online and talk to people and pick up names. I have to actually think about it and concentrate and so forth. So I sit in the dark, except for the computer, and I look at a picture of the pet and with the pet's name, and I ask any questions that people have, and then I communicate with the pet. It's all telepathic, except for the fact that they share often physical things that they endured. So, for instance, I was doing a reading a couple of weeks ago about one Great Dane, and a woman had written me and asked for a reading, gave me a picture of a Great Dane, and wanted to know how he passed. So he made me feel pain in my heart.
Yeah.
And so I typed that up and I said, it was a heart-related passing. There was something about his heart. It feels like a defect, like he was born with a defect. It turns out he passed away young. So I told her that, and she wrote me back and she said, that makes perfect sense because the father who sired him also had a heart defect.
Oh, wow.
So she got her answer. So they make me feel pain.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that they'll show me images of maybe favorite things or positions or something like that. Another cat came through and showed me that his favorite thing to do was to curl up in a brown blanket. Now, what's the chances of?
Yeah, there's a numerous amount of colors you could pick from.
Yeah. Plus, I'm colorblind, Jason. So.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Sometimes I don't get the colors right.
Oh, that doesn't help.
Yeah, browns and reds, greens and grays.
Gotcha.
But I specifically heard the cat this time say brown, and I'm like, okay. And I don't have cats. I'm not a cat dad. I'm a dog dad. So I don't know how cats are with blankets. So
my cat claims them all. So.
Oh, okay.
So my cat, if there's a blanket laying there or a coat or anything soft, it's like it's
They
mine. I'm laying it.
love blankets.
Yeah.
They do?
Mine does.
Okay. Oh, well, good to
Yes.
know. Well, this cat told me about the brown blanket, and the cat parent wrote me back and said, "Oh my God, I still have the cat's brown blanket. That was his favorite blanket." And it just kind of blows me away that they can convey these things.
You think so, like, because I've had dreams of Bella where she's talking to me. You know what I'm saying? Like your dog talks to you. Before she passed and after she passed, I'd have these dreams where she's telepathically communicating to me. And I had them before she passed away. I'd have these dreams where Bella'd be in the dream and Bella's like talking to me. Not like her mouth's moving up and down and she's talking to me like in some cartoon way. Not at all. But like her thoughts I can hear, in the dream. And I always thought, is that Bella coming to me in my dreams even when she was still alive? And then after she passed, I felt like, yeah, that is her in a way coming to me.
So what I would usually they don't come to us in our dreams when they're alive. It's usually the help of a spirit, like a human spirit on the other side, that gives you the dream about them and lets you know that they're going to pass. And human spirits will come through all the time and try to help convey information for pets. Like, if, for instance, if you find a coin and you're thinking about your pet and you pick up the coin, it has the year of their birth or the year of their passing.
Yeah.
The pet needs the help of a human spirit in order to find that coin.
That makes sense. Yeah. That, you know, like you said, our loved ones on the other side are usually the ones that they're joining with or being taken care of them on the other side. Sometimes the pet's taking care of the loved one on the other side, I think. But with Bella, I swear, before she passed, I mean, she went totally deaf the last couple of years of her life. We had this telepathic connection. I could think something, and she would turn and look at me like she heard my thought. We had this for many years, even before she went deaf, that Bella and I had like a telepathic communication at times between each other. She'd hear my thoughts. She would know. It was a weird thing. Like, she knew when I was down, too. Like, she knew when to come to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and Bella had like a connection. I don't know. And I swear we dreamt dreams together before she passed away. I know not many people probably had experience, but I did. I swear to God, me and Bella would share dreams. I couldn't confirm that. I can't ask Bella the next day, like, you have that dream, Bella? Right. But she'd be in my dreams, and she was used to sleep right next to me until she got too old and incontinent. We couldn't, and we had kids. We couldn't really let her in the bed anymore because the kids are in the bed. I always felt bad for that. I always felt horrible. Like, she spent all these years in our bed, and then we have kids, and we kick you out. You know, it's like the Dalmatians movie. You know, the Dalmatians rule the house, and they're all known, or any of the pet cartoon movies. And then the parents have kids, and it's like, oh, the pets. Oh yeah. They're not. They lose. Like, they feel like, oh, I didn't mean to downgrade you. It's not like that, you know. But you're out of the bed now. Sorry. Things like that. It's like, I hope she forgives me.
Oh, she does. There's really nothing to forgive, and that actually the forgiveness is an important message that I get from pets all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought up that word, because often when we make the choice to help our pets cross over, and out of pain, we always feel guilty. 99% of the time we feel guilty. So the one big message that I get recurring from pets is that please don't feel guilty. Please accept my thanks for recognizing I want to go on, that I was too tired. Often pets will tell me that their body doesn't do what they want it to do anymore. And they get frustrated, and then they get disappointed, and then they get depressed. And when they're tired, they want to go, and so they appreciate it. And some ways that you can know that your pet is ready to go is if they stop eating, if they stop engaging you, if they stop looking at you, and if they start wandering. So before our dachshund Franklin passed, he used to stay with us everywhere we went in the house. He was 16 and a half. And he was having trouble walking and so forth near the end. But he would always stay with us. So we would, at the end, near the end, when he was having trouble walking, we would carry him in the den, in the TV room, and we would sit him in there. But he would find the strength, Jason, to get up out of his bed in the den and walk in the kitchen where he could be by himself.
Yeah.
So that told me right there that he was tired and he didn't want to stay anymore.
For Bella, I knew it was probably after she had a stroke. I didn't know for sure if she did or not, but she went to this corner in the kitchen and just stood there with her nose in the corner. And I'd heard from other pet owners over the years that when they stare into the corner, that's usually a sign it's time. They'll just stand there and stare in the corner. When I saw her do that, I turned to my wife and said, yeah, it's time. And then that night, I heard a commotion in the kitchen, and I came in and found that she'd lost all pretty much bodily control that night. And we had to take her that morning.
I'm sorry. So when they do stare at a corner, often they're looking at a spirit that's waiting for them to cross over.
Like they're seeing like a doorway to the other side there or something. She was like right up in the corner. Like she just had her nose in the corner.
Yeah.
Like, and I saw it broke my heart because I'd heard that before, like from other pet owners, you know, that they do that. That's pretty much a sign that it's time. And yeah. And like you said, the signs there, you know, she would look at me towards the end with this just sad look in her eyes. And I'm like, I'm sorry, baby. I could tell she was, you know, it wasn't long before. I mean, she seemed to like we had worked on, she had lost a ton of weight. Like she looked like skin and bones. We're feeding her. We're like, why is she losing weight? And they got her on some medication. She started eating better and started gaining weight again. And we thought we were on the mend, you know, like we were turning a corner. And I know she was 17 years old. I should have known better. I mean, the night before she ended up staring in the corner and things took a turn for worse, she got a hold of a chicken leg. And my wife was like, was it the chicken leg that did this? I'm like, no, it was just time. Because she, you know, she'd started getting her appetite back and like was going after stuff again like she used to. She went after that chicken leg and gobbled it down before I could get the bone out of her mouth because I was afraid she was going to hurt herself with the bone. And I'm like, that's the old Bella. You know, because she used to, you know, do that, steal food right out of your hand. She hadn't done that in a long time. She'd, like I said, gotten down to bones, like she was barely eating. And we thought it was at time, and then we found out that she was having another issue, and they get her medication. We thought we might have another year or two, which I know is a lot to ask for when she was 17 years old. But
yeah.
And my wife, that was something hard for her. She was like trying to, you know, blaming herself for the chicken leg. I'm like, no, it's, you know, It was her time. Bella just got one last good steal in before.
And usually, by the way, our pets will also show a burst of energy when they recognize that we understand.
That's what it seemed like.
The sign. Yeah. So our dog Sprite, when he passed in 2013, he wasn't eating for days before he passed. On the way to the vet, he knew where we were going. He had a tumor that burst in his nose the night before we had to go make the decision. So he wasn't eating. And that day on the way to the vet, he ate like 2 full like bacon strips, which were his favorite. And I started to feel really guilty. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this the wrong decision? But the thing is that it was not the wrong decision. I mean, of course he had a tumor burst in his nose, but he was so excited that we read him correctly that he was eating his favorite treat.
You know, I had, speaking of dreams, like I said, I felt like Bella would come in my dreams. After she passed, I had this dream, you know, not long after she passed. And I thought, at the first, I'm correlating this dream because, you know, Bella passed, now I'm worried about Asia. But I had this dream where we woke up in the middle of the night and Asia's stomach had exploded. Like something exploded out of her stomach and she was just doing her painful, whenever Asia was in pain, like we'd clip her nails, she'd make this horrible, and that's what it was. But it was a nightmare. This was such a nightmare that I had. I woke up like sweating and screaming from it. And I told my wife, she had Asia checked out, and sure enough, she had a tumor on her stomach, but it had gotten so bad that the vet was like, this is going to explode. This is going to be bad.
Oh my gosh.
And so as we got closer and as she was getting worse, I said, let's just take her in now. And we had to make that decision because they said she wouldn't probably survive a surgery to try to get rid of this tumor. It wasn't worth it. You know, she most likely wouldn't survive for that much money you have to spend. She would probably not make it still. The vet was just being honest. And I felt like if I hadn't had that dream that prompted me, we could have had that nightmare night of her passing horribly, you know, and I didn't want that for her. And she had a very peaceful passing, much like Bella. And I swear Bella or something came through and showed me that future possible. Like, don't let this happen. You need to make the decision. Because it was a horrible nightmare. I'm glad that's not how it went. And I'm glad we made the decision. It is hard to deal with to make that decision, but I felt like if I hadn't, I'd been experiencing that nightmare night with her. Her passing that way would have been horrible. It was painful. It sounded painful.
Yeah. So your gift of dreaming about things that could happen in the future or do happen was really helpful.
Yeah, I feel it was.
That's a pretty amazing gift you have.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm glad that's one dream that didn't come true, or maybe I by me changing it or making a decision sooner. Because if that dream would have came true, if that would have been something I dreamt in the future, it would have been horrible. It was a horrible nightmare. It was just the worst way. I can still hear her screaming in my brain from that memory of that nightmare. That horrible panic wail she would do when we were like cut her nails or something happened and she was scared of. It was that times 1,000 in that nightmare, and that's when I knew.
So I want to pivot to a more positive thing for you, so that you don't dwell on that and get depressed.
Yeah.
So one of the things that folks may feel is that when their pet passed, they may feel. We talked about shadows and so forth, but they also may feel a cold spot. So when our dog Franklin passed away at 16 and a half years old, one of his favorite things to do was to be in the kitchen at 8 o'clock, because 8 o'clock here in our house is called 3 treat time. So
right.
They get their 3 treats. Franklin never missed 3 treats. No matter how sick he was or anything, he was always there in the kitchen at 8 o'clock. So the day that he passed, at 8 o'clock, I announced it was 3 treat time. Suddenly, I got chills on the left-hand side of my body, the entire left-hand side of my body. And I knew it was him. I knew he was there. So the reason we feel cold spots, and this scientifically, this is what I've kind of figured out, is that that spirits will take energy from the motion of molecules of air. So fast-moving molecules of air are warm air, slower-moving molecules of air are colder air. That's why you have a cold spot where there is an entity trying to manifest. So not only did Franklin let me know by a cold spot, but the other 3 dogs at the time all lined up, and they left a spot for Franklin, right where Franklin usually sits.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. So your pets and your people are around in spirit around the holidays. And I also want to address, I have 2 quick stories about humans that I can share with you about Christmas.
Let's get to yes, I do, especially with the Christmas time. We're going to go to commercial break and we'll get to those. Phone lines will still be open, guys. I know I had somebody else trying to call in and then it hung up on them. If you want to try back, please do. It's just sometimes the phone lines get lost in the mix. I don't know. But we're going to go to this last commercial break. We'll be back. We're talking about Christmas ghost stories, right? That's what you got? Stories about this, 'tis the season. When we come back from the short commercial break.
Intercepted transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated. I will hear it.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including Zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Heat 'em up.
Do, re,
Egon.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Rob Gutro. He's an author, he's a medium, he's written Ghosts and Spirits, Pets in the Afterlife, 1, 2, and 3. Lessons learned from talking to the dead, Kindred Spirits, and Ghost of England on my medium's vacation. All highly recommended books you should definitely read. We've had Rob on to talk about several of those tonight. Tonight he wants to tell us a little bit about some ghost Christmas stories. I think that's That's fitting, right? We're almost to the Christmas season. We won't be back next Sunday because it'll be December 26th. It's a holiday weekend. I want to be spending it fully with my family, so I hope you understand. No show next week, but we should hopefully be back the following week. Don't have a guest, but we'll do open lines, whatever. But we should be back in a couple weeks. But let's go ahead and get back to our guests now. So, Rob, you had some Christmas ghost stories for us tonight.
I do have some Christmas ghost and spirit stories for you. So, one of the stories I wanted to share really quickly is from the book Kindred Spirits about Ed. Ed that's been communicating with me for 15 years. Yeah. And Ed uses coins, by the way. That's his forte, his specialty, if you will. He often uses coins to communicate. But in one particular instance, he used a clock to communicate with his brother. So Ed used to love clocks, and one of the clocks that he had after he passed went to his brother and sister-in-law. And during the week of Christmas, which was also the week that he passed on December 19th. So this show was kind of my tribute to him. He used a clock to let them know that he was around. Now, the clock had a glass face, and you really had to pry it open to get it to open.
Yeah.
But on, I think it was the anniversary that week, Christmas week, that glass was wide open when they woke up in the morning, and they couldn't explain it because they couldn't even open it themselves.
And there it is, just pop wide open. Like, hello. I love those stories. I love those. People, like I said, I have a haunted house. Yeah, okay. I mean, those are interesting. But when loved ones come through to them in that kind of way, that's just definitive to me. I think those are the most powerful stories.
So my dad even topped that one because my dad passed in 2008, and in 2010. My mom called me, and she said, for some reason, I was going through your dad's desk, and she said, I found a brand new wallet, and she said, would you like it? So I said, sure. I would, I would absolutely love something for my dad. So she mailed me the wallet, and I got it just before Christmas, and she actually wrapped it up, and I unwrapped it, and in the wallet was the price tag. And how I knew that my dad led my mother to find that wallet and mail it to me was that when my dad used to wrap Christmas presents, he would always forget to take the price tag off.
That's a dad thing.
That is so awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's yet another example of how the spirits of our loved ones are around at Christmas time.
Yeah, I really do. That's why, like I said, I dedicated this month to that theme, that our loved ones are with us during the holidays. They're always with us, but when we really feel like we need them, they are there. I really do feel like they're there with us. We did the ITC show last week because I wanted people to find a way to connect. But honestly, I think all you got to do is talk to them, right? I mean, they're there listening.
Yeah.
For people wanting to connect to either their pets or loved ones on the other side during this holiday season, do you have any recommendations for them? Like what, they want to have this connection and they want to have an experience. I've always told people to just say, hey, come to me in my dreams before you fall asleep. That's worked for me, and I know it's worked for others. But do you have any recommendations for people? Yeah.
That's it. You hit it right on the head. Yeah. Always ask them before you go to sleep if they'll come into your dreams, because dreams are the easiest way for them to communicate with us.
Yeah, I think so.
Unless you know what signs to look for. So, and Jason, the reason I've written many of these books is to educate people about what signs they can give us and what signs you can look for. So you don't need a medium to tell you that your loved ones are around. Just open your eyes and know what signs to look for, and you can see it yourself.
It's incredible. I think that's that's what I love about these stories, though. I mean, people have haunted houses and experiences, but the synchronicity stuff that you find around loved ones when they communicate, like the radio, like playing the songs, or the ways just incredible things happen that are synchronistic, that are like a sign. That's what you really are looking for. And some people, you're stretching. No, they're very legitimate signs you'll find once you open your eyes to it. It's just incredible. How do they how on the other side do they make that even happen? But
I
it
always
does.
get a black crow feather every time I need my dad so bad. I will look down and there will be a black crow feather right there.
Wow.
Yeah. You mentioned about Ed and the change. My wife always said if I ever was a ghost or whatever, a spirit coming back, she would know it's me by the change. Because I used to, when she was a waitress and I'd always use cash, I would always have all this change in my pockets, and I'd always end up spilling out of my pockets, and you'd find like a trail of change from me. My wife's like, "That's what's going to happen when you become a ghost. You're going to leave change everywhere." I'm like, "Yeah, at least I'll be leaving you something, financially on the other side."
Exactly.
Pocket change.
Although I will tell you that my husband always says, "Why don't they leave $20 bills?"
Right.
You know?
It's always pennies and nickels. Come on, give us some big money. Yeah, I didn't have it in life. I'm not going to have it in death, right?
Exactly. It's
But
harder
it is
to find a
incredible.
$20 bill.
It is incredible. It is incredible the things that manifest or appear, or the way they do influence animals.
It's
I've talked-
beautiful.
Yeah.
Every time it happens, it just blows your mind, gives you the
Yeah.
chills all over again.
I've witnessed it with my wife and her grandmother who passed, in the cardinal thing they had between each other. The cardinal showing up right outside our window the day her grandmother passed, and then the cardinal on the train tracks fighting a mantis when my son was having a breakdown on a field trip. And he's like suddenly lost his, overcame his breakdown because he could see this mantis and this bird fighting each other. It was crazy. I videotaped it and everything. But it was like, thank you, Mimi, because it saved the day. I swear that was her. She saved the day because he was having one of his, he's had sensory disorder. And we were at this train station in Chicago, South Shore. And it was just overwhelming noise. It was too much for him. And he started to have a total meltdown, and then I go, wow, look at that mantis and bird fighting on the tracks. He was like, what? And he loves monster fights, and to him, it took his attention away from all that stuff. It was like perfect timing. And then the train, as soon as the bird went out and the mantis lost, our train came and we got on. I was like, thank you, Mimi. That was his great grandmother.
That's awesome.
And her thing was cardinals.
My dad's is the hummingbirds, and as cold as it was the other day as I was out there doing the Christmas stuff, there was that hummingbird just hanging out right in front of me. Like, thank you, Dad.
Yeah. I definitely think spirits and spirits of your loved ones are somehow able to influence animals. I don't know, how or why, or but they're able to do it. I've heard too many stories on here in my own personal experiences. So, was that the two Christmas stories though? Those two, or did you have another one you wanted to add?
Those are the two about spirits. I ran into 3 ghosts at Christmas time.
Oh,
so earthbound ghosts. Back in 2010, I went to Ford's Theater here in the Washington D.C. area.
Yeah, I've been there.
And that's where President Lincoln was assassinated. And I ran into 3 ghosts, and of course, ironically, I went there to see the Christmas Carol about 3 ghosts.
Yeah.
But those were the 3 ghosts that I met. It was
the past, present, future? No.
So what? One of them, I kind of told him I was busy. I was watching the show, and it was a man, and he was standing behind me, and he was like, "I need to talk to you. I need to talk," and I'm like, I'm watching the show
after the play, right?
and people are sitting next to me going, "Who's he talking to?" But that's another story.
You must really relate to that ghost show.
I do.
I bet. I wondered. I'm so glad you've seen it.
In the beginning when my abilities really came forward after Buzz, I wound up talking out loud to ghosts or spirits, and people would look at me like, "What's wrong with him?
Right?
Who's he talking to?" So it's just like that ghost show. It's really funny. The other another ghost that I ran into was a woman who was an actress and she was an actress performing during the My American Cousin, the when
Lincoln's assassination.
President Lincoln was shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she came through to me and she told me she was an actress, and she showed me that she was sitting backstage and with all all the lights around the mirrors and so forth. And one thing she showed me that really wound up being very unnerving to me was that she said after the president was shot, later that week when they had his funeral, she said she was there on the streets of Washington, D.C., and she watched his funeral procession.
Yeah.
And she showed me the coffin being draped with black, with a black drape over it. Now, I always thought, in my experience, coffins are always draped, especially with presidents, with the flag, the American flag. So when I got home, I had to look that up. Sure enough, President Lincoln's coffin was draped with a black drape. It freaked me out.
Yeah, I bet.
And it was confirmation that this woman was really there, and she's she still chooses to stay in the theater because she loved the theater, which is why she stayed behind. But the third ghost was terrifying.
Ooh.
Because I ran into him in the gift shop. It was John Wilkes Booth.
Oh man, I wondered when you said that. So John Wilkes Booth at Ford Theater still.
He's still there. And what's interesting is that the gift shop is an extension of the theater, of the original theater. And I figured all this out too. The gift shop is where the alleyway was, where he jumped on the horse to ride away after the assassination. So that's where he dwells. When I went in there, I wasn't thinking about I wasn't thinking about ghosts. I was just there for the holidays, and I was ready to enjoy the show. But I went in the gift shop, and I'm walking around, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a guy here. There's a man here, and he is an arrogant, selfish son of a gun.
Yeah.
He's just a real jerk. And so he said, turn around. And I heard turn around, and I'm like, okay. So I turned around. Right in front of me was a display of John Wilkes Booth stuff. Memorabilia.
I'm sure he loved that.
He did. He was very proud of his evil deed.
And he's like, look at my paraphernalia, my merchandise, John Wilkes Booth right here.
Yeah. And it was chilling. It really was.
I bet.
So the next year, my friend Ruth visited, Ruth Larkin, the Beantown medium, and we toured her around Washington, D.C., and we went into Ford's Theater. It was during the day. And I didn't tell her anything about my encounter with John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
So she walked in and she said, Rob, do you sense a ghost here? Because there's a really arrogant, selfish, conceited jackass that's standing in this gift shop.
Yeah.
And I said, Ruthie, turn around. And she turned around and she said, oh my God, it's John Wilkes Booth. She was looking right at the John Wilkes Booth display.
Yep.
And she said, it's him. And I said, yep, that's exactly what I experienced the year before. So we wound up talking to the docent, not the docent, but the people that were working the gift shop. And we asked them about things. And they said, yes, electricity is played with, doors locked by themselves in the gift shop. Things get moved in the gift shop. So they've had experiences there. And then the year later, later in that year, rather, my friend Troy Klein, who is another medium on IGT, Inspired Ghost Tracking, he went there, and he didn't know about, I didn't know he was going there, but he went there for the Christmas Carol. I didn't know he was going there, and I didn't tell him anything about Ford's Theater.
Yeah.
Either. Well, he texted me, he goes, Rob, I'm standing in a gift shop. He's an arrogant, selfish, bullheaded son of a gun in here. Some guy. So again, I texted him, Troy, where are you standing? And he wrote, right next to the John Wilkes Booth display. He goes, oh my God.
Yeah.
So that's 3 mediums confirming John Wilkes Booth in the gift shop.
Hanging out by his merchandise.
Yeah. Jeez. It was chilling.
that says a lot about ghosts in the afterlife, for jerks, at least in the afterlife. Because,
Sure.
yeah, how egotistical, Oh, wow, don't you feel special? There's a gift shop with your merch. That's all
That's why
can't move on, can he?
Well, that's why it's important not to glorify bad people.
I get that. I've said that on this show. Like, it's what's bothered me. Like American Horror Story. I've stopped watching that show, but they did like the whole hotel thing, which I was interested in because it was based off the Cecil Hotel a little bit. They did that hotel thing. But they had all these serial killers like Richard Ramirez, and they're making him look so cool. I'm like, he wasn't, and he would love this. That's what I hate about these things. That guy would love this. H.H. Holmes would love this. These people were very arrogant, sick people, and they would love to be glorified like this. And that's what kind of American Horror Story did. I'm sorry if you're a fan of the show, people. I could stop watching after Hotel. They really glorified these serial killers in this. And the one that really bothered me was Richard Ramirez they had, and they're trying to make him look all cool. I'm like, dude, I'll show you a picture to show you how not cool this guy was. The way they did it, it's like, it's not cool. They're not cool people at all. And
romanticizing it.
Yeah, it was very sick season. Yeah. I couldn't take any more of that show after that. And it's exactly because that reason, because I felt like they were glorifying these serial killers. My wife is always like weirded out by my interest in serial killers. My interest comes from understanding how humans can go so evil.
It's
what
the
the human soul can be
psychology.
turned. It's a psychology of it. I've always been interested in, but I don't ever want to see these people glorified. Like, certain paranormal investigators, famous TV show ones, have bought in paraphernalia like glasses and electric chair. I would never. Give me all the money in the world. I would buy paraphernalia. I would buy paranormal items. I would, but I wouldn't buy any from serial killers. Stuff of their stuff. I don't want any part of that. I would never want any part of that. I don't want to
None of
glorify them.
that
I don't want anything to
energy.
do with them. I don't want any part of that energy. But some of these people get into that. I just don't get it. I can't stand it. Because they were monsters, human monsters.
Yeah. Jamie, you're right. The negative energy is really overwhelming that they attach to those objects. And you feel it.
Yeah.
Just like anybody. So, and by the way, everybody has the abilities to sense things. So I always tell people that if you walk into a room of people, and you're always drawn to somebody that you want to say hello to, and conversely, you want to avoid somebody, you're reading their energy. You're reading the energy that they emit. And that's what mediums do. We just read the energy of people and pets who
I
passed.
call it the vibes. I read the vibes.
Yeah.
The vibe.
I mean, any way to prove that to yourself is this is happening. I'm sure somebody's life. Two people or more having an argument. You walk in the room, don't even know about the argument, but you feel it. You feel the tension in the air. There's a reason why you can cut the tension in the air with a knife. The reason that saying is there because it's a real thing. You feel it. You don't have to hear the arguments or hear it at all, but they could be totally quiet staring at each other, but you feel it. You feel that energy as soon as you walk in the room, but it ain't good. Energy is a real thing, that you can feel.
And this is actually something that I was talking about with some friends and my husband this week is about energy around the holidays. So I was fortunate enough to grow up with a mom and dad that really loved Christmas, and they decorated for Christmas, and would play Christmas music, and I taught them some Kenny and Dolly Christmas songs, and and I have good memories, and I would help my dad outside with string up the Christmas lights. I would help my mother bake. But other families didn't have that. They would have arguments. They wouldn't put up lights. Like my husband's family didn't even put up a tree. So, yeah. And his dad was a devout Christian, which doesn't make any sense to me. But so it didn't really celebrate the holidays, and kept everything dark and argued a lot.
Yeah.
So a lot of people. So it's interesting.
Bad memories.
Yeah. So it's interesting that how we grow up, those things affect us. It took me 16 years to convince my husband to put lights outside.
Oh wow.
It's a long time. So whatever childhood things that we experience stay with us. So if you have a partner, and your partner doesn't celebrate Christmas the way that you do, or they're not into it and you are, likely tied to something that happened in their childhood, which may be arguments that their parents had or something like that. So be mindful of that, and don't force them, but try to find ways to celebrate on your own.
Make up your new traditions.
Yeah.
So what gets me this time of year is I grew up in a family that was like a big family. 2 brothers married 2 sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the people, not incest. And so you had these 2, a lot bigger family get-togethers we'd have, and it would be great. And then that, as grandparents passed away and great-grandmother passed away, everybody stopped doing that. And I miss it. Like, I miss those get-togethers. And now with COVID, I mean, can't even get together with anybody this year. It feels like we're going to, basically be at home, and it sucks, so bad. Especially I want my kids to have the Christmases that I had, where you had all the cousins and kids running around just being nuts, and that whole Christmas experience they're not getting it now, and it kills me. That's one thing this holiday season is really killing me.
But you can still do what you can to
I
make
know.
it as much of that
I know.
until everybody can get back together. And you do a good job with them.
Yeah, we've been talking, like, are we going to go see Santa tomorrow with COVID and everything going on? It's like, oh, it's COVID-y Christmas. I don't know. But I don't want to miss out on seeing Santa like we do every year, But it's pretty much red in our county with COVID. So it's like, what do you do? That's one of the reasons I decided to do this show, because this holiday season can be tough in many ways this year, I think, on people. There's a lot going on in everybody's lives. I've had a lot of stress on me lately of job things. It's recently, just so people know, has been relieved a little. Things are good. But it seems like a very stressful holiday for a lot of people. I see it as a retail person in shoppers. I can see it in people, the way they're acting every day, that things are different this year. People are definitely not at a good point or at a good place. So I'm hoping we hit the holiday, things get better for people. And that's what I'm hoping. I hope I can help in any way.
I think that we can all do our part by, appreciating people that work in retail and in restaurants and so forth. They have tough jobs. FedEx drivers, U.S. mail people, and medical professionals. They've been outstanding. So, if we have a minute, I have an uplifting story to share with you.
Definitely an uplifting story.
Okay, well, it's from my book Pets in the Afterlife 3. So I want to go back to pets for a minute, because this shows you that there's no such thing as a coincidence when it comes to spirit. When my dog Dolly passed, a friend of mine wrote me within a week and said, I have to share this story with you. I have to actually call you because this is just too crazy.
Yeah.
She said there's too many coincidences here. So she said she was at a sidewalk cafe with her friend, and she said this Weimaraner on a leash was dragging her dad over to her chair, and she and the guy apologized and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. My dog just came over to you, and I don't know why." Well, the dog was a Weimaraner, and it was right after my Dolly passed.
Yeah.
Who was a Weimaraner. And so my friend said, "What's your dog's name?" And he said, Dolly Parton. Same name, Dolly. And my dog Dolly was named after Dolly Parton.
I love Dolly Parton.
And as you could tell. So with the Weimaraner, there was a dachshund, a black and tan dachshund, like my dog Tyler, who is bonded to Dolly.
Right.
And she said the coincidence that they had a Weimaraner named Dolly and a black and tan dachshund was unbelievable. But it didn't stop there. She asked the guy what his name was, and he said his name was Rob. Same as mine. And he said he couldn't. He said he would like to stay and chat, but he couldn't because he has to go meet his husband.
Oh, jeez.
Whose name is Tom, same as mine.
Wow.
Who has another dachshund with him. Same family structure.
Like a doppelganger family. It's like a doppelganger family.
Exactly. And this is here in Maryland.
Yeah, I remember
And-
you telling me this before. I always
Yeah.
thought this is incredible. Like, how do these flips of, I don't know, like it's like a parallel universe, but it's not. It's here. There's another version of you and Tom and your dogs.
It's just bizarre. So my point is that spirits will really work hard to let you know that they're around.
Yes,
but they are.
They had to work really hard on that one, I would think. That's what I'm saying. It's these synchronicities that drive me nuts. Like, how do they make that happen? Like, what on the other side are they? The spirits or animal spirits able to make these signs like this? They're so synchronistic and incredible. That's why I love these stories more than I love just the good old haunted house story, because they're so powerful. The stuff that goes behind them, especially the synchronicities, is just how does that, it boggles the mind how that happens.
Spirits can do anything.
It is incredible. It is incredible what spirits can do. I want to make sure, I don't know if we could, what is your email tonight? I want to make sure people get it if they want to reach out to you for a reading, or how do they set that up?
They can go to robgutro.com. All the information is there. Or if you can't remember my last name, petspirits.com.
Petspirits.com or Rob Gutro. That's Gutro for people that say robgutro.com. So there's like a connection form on there from the set up a time and for you to correspond, basically, or email.
Yeah, so I do everything by email, and like I said, readings are already booked into mid-May.
Yeah, it might take time.
Yeah, but I encourage people to get the books. They're all on Amazon. They're all under $10. Really cheap Christmas gift. It's $20 for reading. It's $10 to read a book and figure out how to get signs yourself. So.
And it might, for somebody who's lost a pet this year, it might be a great gift, for them. Really help them try to cope with this. Because it's hard. It just like, I don't know what to say to a person when they've lost a family member. I don't know what to say to somebody when they've lost a pet. It's you just can be there for them is all you can do. But there's nothing you say is going to take away that pain. It's
I always I make a donation to an animal rescue when somebody loses a pet. Usually,
that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Well, Rob, it's always an honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being on. Definitely love to have you again. What's your next book coming out? Do you have a new book coming out?
I just finished writing it. It's in edits right now. It's called Ghosts of the Birdcage Theater on a Medium's Vacation.
Oh, wow.
I met 10 of them in one stop.
Oh, my God. I'd love to read that. That sounds amazing. All right. Yes. See, we'll have to have you back on for that. But that's it for the show, guys. We won't be back. Whoop, that's the wrong music. I am hitting the wrong buttons tonight, man. That's not the right music. This is the music. There we go. We won't be back next week because it will be Christmas weekend, the day after Christmas. I want to spend time with my family as well as you should spend time with your family. And know that your loved ones are always with you, including your pets. That's what we focused on this month. We had Rob on, your Gutro here, amazing guest. Joe McQuillan, I want to thank as well, talking about his son had passed away and communicating with the afterlife. Robert Riggy, another medium, works with children who pass on. Incredible people we've had on this month to let you know that your loved ones are always with you. Talk to them. Talk out loud when you're missing them. Let them know. Tell them to come to you in a dream, like me and Rob were just talking about a little bit ago. They're always with you. You can connect. You don't have to have a medium to do it. They are with you. Communicate with them. They're listening. All right, guys. Have a great night. See you in a couple weeks. Thanks for checking the show out. Thank you to all the Patreons out there. $2 a month does help pay the bills. We do have a new $10 a month tier. You join that, you'll be a super fan, and we'll make sure we mention you every Sunday night on the show. We also have Super Chat on here. Thanks to donations on there. I'm going to be adding a new YouTube subscriber system they got on here for YouTube for special, I guess, events and things you can do through YouTube as a subscriber. We'll get that all set up soon. I'll get you more information, but we'll see you not next Sunday, but the following. Have a great night. See you in a couple weeks.